Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports.
When it comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
It's here. It's time. There's always a buzz in the air when you hit this moment.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
I think of him as this hawk. Before long, he's going to be swooping in on those quarterbacks.
Coach Elko's my guy, right? Like, I love him. I love Michael Early. Like, I think Bucky's going to be incredible.
It's football, man. And that's what Warriors do. They don't want to sit out.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
OB, it feels so good. It feels so good again, doesn't it?
It feels good, feeling good again. That's for sure.
Yeah, especially with the SEC saying, A&M, we're going to give you a nice little schedule over the next couple of years, which is what you expect in the SEC. But it hurts. It hurts to read.
It's a challenging schedule. It's going to be a challenging schedule. I don't like playing LSU on the road in back-to-back years.
That's not nice.
But again, you signed up for this, so okay. You know, I'm not afraid of anybody. Bring them on.
I am afraid of people because even if you're really good and you get a tough schedule, but we don't know what these teams are going to look like. But let's just go over 2026 because. From my count, OB, potentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 top 10 teams potentially in that group.
It's not supposed to be easy. You know what? If you're
it's not supposed to be the hardest thing ever. It's fine. It'll be fun.
I don't know if I hear Oklahoma whining about it. I'm not saying you're whining, but I'm not saying that. I'm not sure I've heard Oklahoma complaining. You know, they've just you get. You know, you play the hand you're dealt.
No doubt. And by the way, I haven't looked to see if Oklahoma's complaining. I don't know who Oklahoma's playing. I'm just saying out loud.
No, I mean now.
Oh,
like the last 2 years.
They've complained.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. Florida and Oklahoma should not. I don't know if "complain" is the right word, but that's a daunting schedule to overcome.
If I was Oklahoma, I would not complain about my schedule as it is. I would complain about what my schedule is compared to Texas, who came in with me.
Sure. But look, home schedule of next year, Texas, as expected, Arkansas, Kentucky, Tennessee.
Okay.
This year's A&M team, I would take them in all of those home games.
Yeah, like, well, you know, Tennessee would be a challenge, but yeah, I think A&M could beat Tennessee.
On the road next year, LSU again. Missouri again. Alabama. I love going to Alabama.
Yeah.
They're not. It's not Saban's Alabama, but they'll probably be.
They're still good,
right.
but you know, yeah, they don't seem invincible.
South Carolina.
I always enjoy my trips to South Carolina.
I do too.
I don't necessarily enjoy the game.
I do
last
too.
2 years or last 2 times.
Oklahoma. Good to go to Norman. That'll be fun.
I'm sure Billy will tell us you guys can drive to that one.
And you know, by the way, Georgia.
We stop at WinStar on the way.
Georgia on the schedule for 27 at home.
Finally coming here.
Yeah, we get to make a return trip to Florida in 27.
You know, I look forward to that game at Kentucky. When is that?
The Kentucky game, I think, is a few years down the road. I believe Kentucky
28
on the road at Kentucky is 28.
Because that only SEC venue I have not seen a game is at Kentucky.
Yeah, so that'll be 2028. That's a few years away.
Well, hopefully I'll still be around for that.
Yeah, and then what else we got? 29, you'll go to Georgia. That's a long time between times to go to Georgia. Okay. You will go to Ole Miss. You'll go to Vanderbilt. You got to wait till 29 to go to Nashville.
Well, you know, you can't have it. If we had it the way I wanted it, you know, we'd go to Nashville every other year.
Yeah.
We'd probably go to Lexington every other year. You know,
Florida?
No.
Come on, Tampa.
I love. I'm talking about the games being easier.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, but I don't know if Pavia continues to get extensions every year. He might be a 10-year player.
It looks like he's working on it.
Yeah, he's trying to get another year. But look, I think this is why you are in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're the big boy program that I think we're going to become, then it doesn't matter.
Well, being in the SEC, you got to look really hard to find the team that's not going to have a difficult schedule, a challenging schedule, and some more challenging than others, Texas. But again, when you're in the SEC, we've said it before, the bad teams are good. I mean, look at Mississippi State this year. I still think they're going to be one of the lower division teams. They're undefeated right now.
They got, is it Tennessee this weekend?
They got Tennessee coming into Starkville this weekend.
Tennessee coming off a loss.
A tough loss. A game they probably should have won.
Yeah.
If they could kick the ball straight.
Well, that was 2 weeks ago, but did they have an off week last week?
They didn't play last week.
Yeah. So that was 2 weeks ago. But
or if they did, it was a nobody. But I don't think they played.
Yep.
But like I said, if they did, it was somebody like UAB or somebody like that. Easy win.
And then looking beyond that, I mean, I like the 27 schedule. I do. Again, you can't figure out who these teams are today for a few years from now, right? Because Lenore Sellers probably won't be at South Carolina next year. They'll be trying to figure out their next phase. I would assume he's going to the NFL.
I would think so, yeah, as is Nick Harbour.
John Mateer, I would assume he'd be another guy moving on as well. I don't know how much eligibility he's got. And, we got some news on him. Broken hand, looks like he'll be out a month. I saw the tweets from Luke and from Billy about the amount of starting quarterbacks that Texas has been able to avoid.
It is.
It's uncanny.
It is. It really is.
Missouri, I don't know.
You never know what they're going to. I don't know what Missouri is right now.
I expect Tennessee to be really good every year.
I will say this. Josh Heupel has done an amazing job of not just having the one good year, but of having sustained success.
Yeah.
Because there for a while it looked like Tennessee was done. Like Tennessee was like the SEC's Nebraska. But he's got things stabilized.
I have not personally looked at other teams, what their schedules look like. I don't know if there's a celebration in Norman or in Austin about what their schedules look like. I don't know. But it is, again, I know we said this already, but the beauty of playing in the SEC is that every week, and now you have 9 conference games, plus you're going to have a Power 4 team on your schedule, 10 really quality games. Next year, Arizona State comes to Kyle.
I want to say Ole Miss maybe just in their 3 teams that they play every year maybe got a nice break. It seems like, but maybe I'm wrong on that. It seems like I looked at it and went, oh man, Ole Miss got a good draw.
Do you like hanging out on your front porch?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
You know where else I like hanging out?
Where's that?
I like hanging out at the LaSalle Hotel.
Yeah?
Where you can get a steaming greasy plate of greasy cheese enchiladas with onions and a guacamole salad.
How about 303 Church Street?
I've spent some time on Church Street. I don't know if it was 303.
I think that's what he said. So we're going to have Robert Earl Keen on the show. Full disclosure, we actually recorded it yesterday to run today. The legend, probably my highlights at TexAgs was interviewing him.
That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
I have a friend in Florida who's a big Robert Earl Keen fan. I told him we were going to be interviewing Robert Earl Keen, and all he did was send me a 4-word answer. Son. Well, maybe it was a 5-word. Maybe it was a 5-word answer.
Well, I'm looking forward to playing that for you all. I think you'll get a good kick out of it. He talks about his time at A&M, obviously his relationship with Lyle Lovett, Porter Gardner, some stories about just playing at the Cotton Bowl in, 1988. So really fun interview. Opie, let's go through, let's see if your memory is intact, okay?
Okay.
Biggest winner from this past weekend?
The biggest winner from this past weekend, I would say, is Indiana.
Yeah, I think Indiana. Now, I struggle with it from 2 places because they did beat a very good Illinois team ranking-wise and potential-wise. But it is Illinois. But they destroyed them. They put
63-10.
I think I read that's the most points scored against a top 10 team in the last 50 years, something ridiculous like that.
Wow. I lost my 3-team parlay because I took Illinois in the points. Boy, was I off on that one.
How about Syracuse?
talking about teams that lost their quarterback.
Yeah.
They got a big win, but they also lost their quarterback in that game.
Yeah.
So it was a big win. I guess.
Was it though?
I think when you're Syracuse, anytime you beat Clemson, you call it a big win.
Okay. So this might seem pretty simple. But the biggest loser of the weekend. Clemson's got to be one of them, right?
Clemson's definitely one of them. I'm trying to think of some of the other, Illinois.
Auburn?
No, I mean, that was a big loss, but.
The way they lost, though.
I might say that the biggest loser of the weekend might be SEC officiating.
Okay. They took a hit.
Yeah, again.
A public hit.
Again, there's those that, I'm not complaining about it, but there are those nationally that were complaining about a mishold call that SEC officials missed in the Notre Dame A&M game. And then the week before that, I think they missed it on a big completion to Berrien Brown in an LSU game. But then, the absolute worst call is that you should know the basic rules. Oh, I was watching that Oklahoma Auburn game, and when they got that touchdown to Satania, that hideout touchdown, I said, you can't do that. I remember saying, I was looking at that, you can't do that.
And they did it.
And then I can't remember who was calling the game, and they started talking about it. They went to their official, and of course the officials are always trying to find ways to cover for each other. And yet the officiating crew, apparently unaware of the rules. And I've said this since my first day at TexAgs, because of my years of living in Tennessee and watching SEC all the time. SEC officiating is really bad. As much as Greg Sankey and the folks in Birmingham don't want to acknowledge it, it's really bad. And I've always said the I'm not saying they cheat, but they always know who's supposed to win.
I hope they know who's supposed to win this weekend.
I'm afraid they're going to be going out and trying to do some makeup calls.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah.
If they go to that meeting that's discussed, I'm going to have a real problem with it. The most surprising thing from the weekend, I don't know if this is the most surprising, but I think it's surprising that Vanderbilt scored 70 points.
Well, that team had given up 63 earlier.
Yeah. I just don't
Georgia
think of
State.
Vandy's. Yeah, Georgia State. I just don't think of Vandy as a 70-point scoring team. I just don't think of
them. But I
never
thought of them as a team that was going to beat Alabama.
Yeah. Which was there a game or a team this weekend that you learned more about moving forward? I would have said Oklahoma, but losing Mateer is going to put them behind the eight ball.
Well, I hate to sound like a broken record here, but I have to admit that I wasn't sold on Indiana at all.
And are you sold on them now? More sold.
I'm holding, as you say. I'll be sold on them if they get through their next 2 weeks.
Yep.
Because I think they've got Penn State and then Oregon.
Hey, this is TexAgs Live.
It is.
We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are in the Rollo Insurance Studio. This hour itself has a name. We call it the Go Hour, and that is presented by the warehouse at CC Creations. And we are currently hanging out at the
Holistic Planning Cool Zone.
So cool to be here.
Yeah, it's pretty cool right here.
Yeah.
Might have a little draft, right?
Yeah. You might need like a parka or something to cover you up.
Yeah, maybe.
If you want to be a part of the conversation this morning, you can do it multiple ways. You can call us or text us. If you call us, we'll pick it up on the Buppies Catering and
bartending hotline.
979-693-1150. You can text that number as well. Let's go around the room, left to right, to say hi to the people. Behind the glass is Cade Bickham. Cade, good morning.
Good morning, y'all. How are y'all doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Let's see. I think in terms of the new schedule, I'll make a point on that. I am very excited. The thing I'm most excited for is Georgia coming to Kyle Field. I feel like that's the obvious one, but I think it's crazy that it hasn't happened yet. We've been A&M's been in the SEC for this is year 13, 14. So it's kind of crazy that the first time it's happening is in the next couple of years.
I agree that it's odd that you could be in the same conference for more than a decade and
not play a team
at home. I don't know if I'm going to be, quote, excited
about team
Georgia coming.
Yeah. Honestly, too, thinking about the fact that they were in the SEC West for so long, like it's okay. Like, I'm all right missing them every once in a while.
Yeah, of course, but again, not afraid. But but maybe I will be excited depending on the circumstances when that game, maybe A&M will be ranked number 1 in the country and Georgia will be 2.
Yeah.
That'll be really exciting.
That would be great. Look, because we're on this journey to where we want to go, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we hope that this is, a step towards that direction. Because we haven't arrived, it's very easy to think about like, oh my gosh, look at. But if A&M becomes that team that people are thinking about? Oh man, we got to get A&M to come to Kyle. I mean, we got to come to our stadium. Like that's where I want our program to be.
I think throughout the SEC, and this is as honest as I can be, I think A&M is a team that everyone respects, but nobody fears.
Yeah, I'm getting down with that. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Sydney Clevenger's in the house. Good morning, Sid.
Good morning, you guys. I'm so excited to be back in the Social Center this week.
How
are y'all?
We're good. We're happy to have you back. What do you have for us this morning?
So diving a little deeper into the SEC slate for the next couple of years, next season we will be playing OU away, like y'all mentioned earlier. We actually haven't played them since 2013, where the Aggies won 41-13. But the series stands at 9 wins and 18 losses for the Aggies. And then in 27, we will be playing Georgia at Kyle. Haven't played them since 2019. We are on a 3-game losing streak with the Bulldogs, the other 2 losses being in 2009 and then 1980.
1980. Not sure I remember that game.
No.
That was my first year, my first football season out of high school. I think I was probably busy with other things.
Yeah, I think you were probably doing some other stuff. What else do you have for us this morning, Sid?
Yeah, and then speaking of OU, as y'all mentioned earlier, OU quarterback John Mateer suffered an injury in his throwing hand Saturday night against Auburn. Surgery was deemed best, and he's expected to be in recovery for about a month. And his surgeon, Dr. Steven Shin, has also worked on Drew Brees, Steph Curry, and Mike Trout. Oh. And then staying in the state of Oklahoma.
What a resume, though. Yeah. My goodness.
Also in Oklahoma, the Oklahoma State Cowboys released Mike Gundy after losing 2-1. And he has spent a combined 30 years at OSU as head coach.
They lost
20 as head coach.
No, they're 2-1.
Oh, sorry, 2-1.
I was like, wait, what? I don't even. They got an extra point.
I know they've got 2 losses because they got just absolutely
annihilated
by Oregon.
Yeah,
and then lost to Tulsa. And I think they can forgive a lot, but I don't know that you can forgive, or obviously losing to Tulsa.
I kind of thought they would give him the season.
I did too, because I think he'd earned it.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had their greatest success in program history under Mike Gundy. One year, I think they would have had a chance. They would have played for the national championship, and they missed a field goal late against, I want to say Iowa State. I'm probably wrong on that. If they win that game, they're playing LSU for was that 2009 or 2010? And the night before the game, their women's basketball coach had died in a plane crash.
That's right.
And so I don't know if they were all focused.
Yeah. Well, he will be back. And I'd like to see, I was talking to somebody who's pretty close to the Oklahoma State program the other day, and they were saying they just don't have the money that people think they used to.
Yeah.
Boone Pickens used to have the money, but it ain't there anymore.
Yeah. I wonder where all the money from Boone Pickens' estate went.
I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure it went to his family, and maybe they're not as big of Oklahoma State football fans as Boone was.
Obie, I want you to call a meeting with the SEC officials, okay?
Yeah.
All right? It's going to be a meeting. You're going to give them a heart-to-heart, but you're also going to coach up. You're going to give them some love. You're going to order a meal, and you're going to do this all, maybe even PowerPoint. You can bring it on your iPad because I know you're tech-savvy. Where are you going to have this meal at, and where are you going to have the referees eat?
Well, first of all, I'm going to have it at $17.75.
Okay, good.
And then I'm going to order that sampler so you can have some of the succulent brisket, those amazing pork ribs, that sausage with the jalapeno cheese infused into it. It's amazing. The turkey and even the pulled pork. And then I'm going to order a whole bunch of that queso mac and cheese. If you want it for your tailgate, you call in early.
Yeah.
Because they make it from scratch. So I would have all that, and then I'd put it out, and then I'd say, all right, who's the guy that missed the call? That didn't, who was the guy that did not, who should have been the guy that made the call on the hideout? Okay, you get to watch everybody eat, because I can't think of a greater punishment than having to look at that amazing barbecue, that perfect Texas barbecue, and smell it, the aroma, and not being able to partake while those around you are
What if
enjoying
I
it.
take the crew that's supposed to be refereeing this game this week, and I said, you guys get to eat?
Yes, and I would say that you would probably be accused of tampering, and trying to cheat, and trying to, get them to call.
I'm just being nice.
Yeah.
I'm just being nice. Go to 1775txbbq.com or call them up, 979-492-6241. It is 1775, and it is
good, really good.
Hey everyone, it's David and Olin from the Holistic Planning
Cool Zone.
You know, I like when we have the chairs here because I don't feel like I have to do this when we're talking about holistic planning. But they want you to know, TexAgs subscribers, they take care of the TexAgs subscribers.
Oh, absolutely. Take care of everybody.
They want to know that anybody who signs up by November 27, 2025 will receive this awesome offer. If the Aggies beat the Longhorns or win in Austin on November 28, 2025, clients will pay no management fees to Holistic Planning for the entire 2026 calendar year.
That's free.
It's free 99. Actually, just free.
All you got to do is beat Texas. Well, it's not if they beat Texas, it's when they beat Texas.
When. And when you go to holisticplanning.com, you're going to love Holistic Planning. So it is holisticplanning.com. Check out the website and take advantage of this awesome offer.
As a reminder, the final segment of the program is brought to you by Double Dave's. That's at 10:50. But right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggieland since 1984 with your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on their way. OB?
Yeah.
We probably want to speed through this because we want to get to the Robert Earl Keen interview, and that's kind of long. It's about a 15-minute interview. So let's get into games we want to watch. The first one you sent me is a game that, believe it or not, Alabama has dominated the last few years. Number 17, Alabama at number 5, Georgia.
Yeah, I think we find out a lot about both of these teams. I think I would expect Georgia to win at home. I think they look like the better team. Alabama's had a resurgence after that opening loss to Florida State. But you say, well, okay, they beat, I can't even remember who it was, ULM?
Yep.
Bad. And then they beat Wisconsin. Well, Wisconsin gets beat bad by a lot of teams now. So I don't know what we have in Alabama. And this is Alabama's chance to show, we're still a powerhouse.
If they beat Georgia, that SEC championship is still SEC championship game is still a possibility, and it doesn't erase the Florida State loss, but it is a big step towards that.
You know who's really rooting for Alabama?
Florida State?
Florida State.
Yeah. I agree. The next one, LSU, number 4, at number 13, Ole Miss.
Again, what an intriguing matchup. The last couple of years they played has been right down to the wire, and it'll probably be the same way. LSU, outstanding defense, we think. Because the teams they've shut down, a lot of teams have shut down. No great offenses they played, but they've shut them down.
They've shut them down.
And Ole Miss is a typical Lane Kiffin offense. It can score a lot. I don't know how good Ole Miss's defense is, and LSU's offense hasn't played well at all. So I'm not sure what to expect there.
Okay, and then we have number 6, Oregon at number 3, Penn State. Excited about this one.
Yeah, we touched on it earlier. Penn State. Well, first of all, Penn State. They've won, but they haven't been just overly impressive. They've won by good margins against bad teams. Oregon, kind of the same thing. They blew out Oklahoma State. They blew out some directional school early, and then struggled. Struggle might be too strong, but they had some issues putting away Northwestern.
Yep.
So I think they're still one of those teams. Maybe both are going to the playoff, and whoever wins is probably can just go write their ticket, probably. But the loser, you have questions about which way they're going to be going.
How about number 15, Tennessee at Mississippi State?
Tennessee, it tells me, my gut says, Tennessee wins this one easily, right?
Yeah.
But Mississippi State.
They can score.
Tell me if you're aware of this. Sometimes weird things happen in Starkville. Boy, don't I know it.
Do we know? Yeah.
And I know Tennessee has looked really good, but going into Starkville, we don't know. I still don't think Mississippi State's that great, but they're unbeaten, and they got a win over Arizona State. So I think I want to watch that one just mainly because I know that they're coming up on A&M schedule pretty soon, and I want to get a feel of just how good Mississippi State truly is.
And last one, Auburn at number 9, Texas A&M.
Hey, Auburn easily could have won that game against Oklahoma last week if the officials were competent, because the hideout play wasn't the only controversial play that went against Auburn. Yeah, there's a fumble, and there was maybe some pass interference that wasn't called. So I think A&M has proven itself with that win at Notre Dame, but now, we said it yesterday, now this game for A&M proves you have to prove you're a great team, not that you just didn't have a great night.
Right.
So, of course, and I'm going to, as you are, we're going to be there to see that one in person.
Can't wait for it. We'll hit a break. We'll come back with Robert Earl Keen here on TexAgs Live. Let's talk a little duck camp for a moment. You were wearing your duck camp gear yesterday. You look good in it, buddy.
Well, thank you. As a matter of fact, this young man, and I think he works for the battalion. I'm sorry that I don't know exactly, but I think he does.
Pablito?
Diego.
Okay.
And he comes up to me and he says, hey, looking good in the duck cap.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, they send us some stuff from here and there. And, and he says, well, if you ever get something extra, You know
Did he ask that?
Yeah,
Does he know you like that to ask that?
I think he's being kind of facetious.
Oh, okay.
But hey, if you ever get any extra, he said, because he actually said it's real popular, among the college age guys. I guess he was trying to say you as an old man are not supposed to be wearing it.
Here's the facts about duck camp. If you there's certain types of clothes that if you wear it, you're being a try-hard. You're trying hard to be a kid. Duck camp doesn't matter the age or the demographic, right?
But the kids love it.
And so do the oldies.
So the old folks.
Yeah. And us middleies, I guess I'm part of the old folk community as well.
No. You still got a couple years.
Duck Camp. I got a year. I got double ARP coming up soon. Duckcamp.com, built for the outdoors and designed for everything else. Let's talk a little Snaps clothing. David Nuño here, and I love wearing Snaps clothing everywhere. I've got the flannel on right now. You've seen me in the Tailgater collection with the A&M gear. It is fantastic. If you see me around town with my sons, Christian and Cruz, they've got a bunch of Snaps gear. When they have big games for Consol, they wear nice clothes, so they wear their Snap stuff. And I'm telling you, with baseball season here, let's all kind of go looking stylish and fit to the games there at Olson wearing the Snaps clothing. As a reminder, they are the only official licensed Texas A&M Pearl Snaps maker out there. Their Tailgater collection is built for game day with breathable, moisture-wicking fabrics to keep you comfortable while you rep your Aggies in style. Now, whether you're watching the game from home or maybe you're in attendance, you're tailgating, whatever it may be, you got to make sure you head to snapsclothing.com to see everything they have to offer. It is fashionable, it is awesome, and you're going to love it.
Welcome back to TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. Our next guest is a true Texas music legend and a proud Aggie. From the front porch song in College Station to stages across country, his storytelling has shaped the sound of Texas music, and he's here on the program to break it all down. Robert Earl Keen. Mr. Keen, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much.
So I kind of want to start with your roots and just how you ended up at Texas A&M. How did you end up a student at Texas A&M?
My best friend from third grade, Brian Duckworth, and I were driving around in his 1970 Rustrud Maverick, and we had a big old Folgers can full of Copenhagen spit, and he took a sharp turn and it spilled all over my pants, and I don't know why I thought this, but I looked up at him and I said, "Where are you going to go to college?" He says, "I'm going to Texas A&M." I said, I think I'll do that. So there it is.
That's simple.
Obviously it worked out great for Texas A&M. How about for you? I guess I'm trying to say, how do you look back on your days at A&M, and what do you remember most?
Well, to answer in one word, fondly. I had a really, really, really good experience there, and I had some great classes and some great professors that definitely shaped the way I think and the way I live now. So, and not to mention all the music I played when I was there. So, and I really truly learned how to play music there, because I when I graduated from high school, I took this old guitar up to A&M, and it was my sister's guitar, and I got it strung up, and I got this book called The 10 Greatest Country Songs Ever. So I learned 9 of them. One of them was called The Happiest Girl in the Whole USA. So I didn't need that song, but that's where I started playing, and it just went on from there. That was like sort of my hobby. I mean, I would say it's a hobby, that was not exactly right, because as soon as I learned how to play a D chord, I just never stopped thinking about doing anything but playing music.
So you were playing the D chord. How did the storytelling aspect of your career happen? How did you become such a great storyteller and interweaving that into your music?
I was surrounded by great storytellers when I was growing up. My brother's a great storyteller. My uncle, who is the only other Aggie, he passed away, but he's the only other Aggie in my family. Everybody else, I'm surrounded by T-sips, So I had that one uncle whom I really admired, and he's my coolest uncle that I had. So it was one of those deals where I just felt like I was doing the right thing.
Well, along those lines, I've got to ask you, what was the inspiration for one of the songs that I probably hear more than any, "The Road Goes On Forever"?
My wife and I moved from we were in Nashville for a couple of years, and then we moved from there to Bandera, Texas, because she got a job there, and so she worked at this nursing home, and there was this young lady, Sherry. Actually, her name was Sherry, and she had a on and off boyfriend, and Bandera is kind of a Wild West town, so they were even wilder than most people there, and they tore it up. So I just took the two of them, and just thought, like, how far can you take this? So I just kept writing, and back to David's question about being a storyteller. Other than that, I always had a kind of a penchant for like being able to put a story together, and once I got where I was writing songs, it just came naturally.
Oh, but you have actually a pretty good idea. Did you want to run it by?
Yeah, I've always felt like that A&M has missed a great opportunity. Every time the Aggies win a football game at Kyle Field, I think they should play "Feeling Good Again." And would you sign off on that?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I would love that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Can you tell me how your relationship with Lyle happened? Like, where did you guys meet, and how did that kind of real deep relationship come from?
He lived. There's some kind of thing about we lived together, but we didn't live together. We hung out together a lot, but he lived about a block away from me and would ride his bicycle by our house all the time. And then one day he just stopped, pulled his bicycle and leaned it up against a tree and asked me and the other two guys that I was playing with if we would come play at the basement coffee house. And so we went and played, and then Lyle and I just hit it off really well, really easily. He was a journalism major, and I was an English major, so that basically means that I have a better vocabulary, but he's a better writer. So we had a lot of classes together, and when I went to summer school a couple of summers, and as did he, and so when all my beer drinking, fun loving buddies ran off, it was just kind of me and Lyle the whole time in the summertime, and we just hung out incessantly.
Can you give me a little background on how the Front Porch song came together? Just paint a picture of that evening.
Literally sitting on that porch in 302 Church Street. I was just sitting out there and started thinking in terms of what are the similes and the metaphors are for this particular porch and what it makes you feel like. That really the idea is really not only kind of a snapshot or a slideshow of words and music, but it's also about the feeling that you get from those different slideshow pictures. And I just when I wrote it, I thought, well, this is kind of a funky little song, but Lyle, I played it for Lyle, and then Lyle went home and came back and said, I hope you don't mind, but I added some words. So I wrote the first half and he wrote the second half, which brought into perspective more of what our whole activity was at A&M at the time. And so it became, not only a better song, but, a great piece to play. So.
It's 3 months till Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
So here's coming up, I'm going to be hearing Merry Christmas from the family a lot before too long. So right. Is there anything biographical about that or what was the
Absolutely.
idea?
I mean, I don't think it's like you can't make that up, kind of thing. And I grew up in Houston, and, I don't know about you, David, and you, Olin, but the fact is Houston, you never have, I didn't know what a chestnut even looked like, much less ever have any snow or anything like that. And, some of the biggest memories of my growing up there was my brother's kids all getting on a riding lawnmower with a wagon tied to the back of it, and the three of them, which were 6, 8, and 10, all had BB guns, and they were riding around in this riding lawnmower, shooting BB guns off of it. And I thought, this is just too weird. But the rest of it, how I populated the song with the different people, they all come from my family one way or another.
Outstanding.
Can you describe what the live music scene was in College Station in those days? Was Northgate the play? Just kind of paint that picture for us.
There were a few places in Northgate, I recall. And let's see. And then down the street over there, where it used to be Skaggs and everything by the McDonald's, there was a Mr. Gaddy's, but these were all places that you could just play solo or things like that. As far as we had a little band, and what we did was play church spaghetti suppers and maybe some rodeo, some rinky-dink rodeo out of town sometimes. But as far as and then of course at one point I did join the basement coffee house, and I booked the talent that was right outside of the MSC at the time by the fountain, and so there were a lot more people there to play than places to play, so you didn't see it quite as much. But the basement coffee house had regular music on Friday and Saturdays, and Lyle booked a lot of that. So it went from he pulled in a lot of people from Houston that were professional musicians, like Shake Russell, Nancy Griffith, Eric Taylor, those kind of people. And so you could see some real music and people that did it for a living. And so that would probably be the mainstay as far as where you could see some, top-notch music.
You played great venues. You've had a lot of people cover your songs. Was there a seminal moment in your career where you look back and say, okay, I've made it?
I'm still waiting for that, Olin. It's a process, man. I mean, it's you set some aims and you achieve those. Or what I always like to say, and this is the truth, I've played everything from a garage sale to the Kennedy Center. So, everything in between. So, as far as getting where you think you've really made it. I think once you achieve a certain aim, then you put together something that you want to achieve after that. So from that, there are what I like to count on really is musical moments in my life, and there are some fantastic musical moments in my life. I played a show one time in New York City at the Bottom Line with John Phillips and John Stewart, and John Phillips wrote California Dreamin' and all the Mamas and Papas songs, and John Stewart wrote stuff for Fleetwood Mac. So they were like bantering back and forth. They were compadres. So I was there, and so John Phillips started playing this song called "If You're Going to San Francisco, Be Sure to Wear Some Flowers in Your Hair," and he's just kind of playing it in this craggy old voice and kind of bad guitar playing, and all of a sudden the guy who actually made that song a hit, like in 1966 or 1967, was in the audience, and he stepped up on stage and started singing it, and it was like. It was a shocker. It was a mind blower. And I was thinking, this song has so much power. There could be somebody in Dayton, Ohio, and they heard that song in 1966 and they thought, hell with it. I'm going to go move to San Francisco. And that's one of my great musical moments.
Robert, to follow up what Olin asked you about a moment where you made it, how about that 1988 Cotton Bowl where you got to play and the Aggies took care of business against Notre Dame like they just did a couple weeks ago, but that game was a beatdown. They won 35-10.
Yeah, I still have the sweatshirt for that one. So yeah, that was a huge one, especially because I think that was one of the first things that I ever really did for the Aggies is like an organization or the Association for former students. At the time.
Hey, I did want to follow up. So a mutual friend of ours, a mentor of mine, and a dear friend of yours, Porter Garner, was telling us some stories. And here's one about playing the Presbyterian in your underwear. Is there anything you can provide, any info there?
Well, across from 302 Church Street was the Presbyterian Church. And we'd stumble out there on Sunday morning and really literally in our underwear amongst a bunch of Schaefer beer cans and start jamming and stuff. And then one day, one of the Sunday school teachers came over and asked if she could bring her class over there and let us play for her class. So she did, and so after that, about once a month they would come over there and on Sunday, and then we'd put our pants on and all that business. But we'd sit out there and play some bluegrass songs, some gospel songs, things like that.
How much do you still tour?
Yeah, a lot.
Really?
A lot. I've been out quite a bit. I had this. Let's see what Elizabeth Cook calls your retirement ha-ha. So I had this my retirement ha-ha in 22, and then found that I really had no other really real purpose in life, and I just I kind of just walked around scratching my head, and finally somebody asked me if I'd come play a little show somewhere, just for some kids or something. And I went and played, and I thought, I really miss this. This is what I meant to do. So I slowly started back into it, and now it's like cranked up to, we're back doing, a whole Christmas tour. We did a large summer tour, and we got stuff planned for the spring. So it's almost nonstop.
Robert, let me close out with just an Aggie football question. Do you get to watch Aggie football? Are you excited about this season, what you've seen so far?
I am excited about what's happening. It really feels strong to me. I have been going. My dad was a TSEP, so we started going to the Aggie, the Thanksgiving Day game when I was 7 years old, and we go to Caulfield, and then we go to Memorial Stadium, just alternate every year. And it was somewhat the same even during college. It was like, yeah, they get right up there, and then what the hell, it's like some kind of the Aggie curse or something. And I feel like maybe we've got across away from the curse of the Bambino or whatever you want to call it down there, the curse of Bevo. And I like it. That looks good to me.
Outstanding.
Well, hey, we are both huge fans of yours, and we're so excited to get you on the show. Thank you so much for making a few minutes. And we're both going to check you out on the road at some point. We'd love to see you together.
Okay. Please do. Yeah, we have Christmas shows coming up, and we end all of those in Houston and Dallas and Austin. So you might be able to find something there.
Yeah,
we'll find one.
We'll definitely will. Thank you again, sir. Appreciate you very much.
You. All right, bye-bye.
Hey friends, David Nuño here for Prize Picks. They're back on TexAgs, prizepicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs to get $50 once you play in $5 lineups. And Prize Picks is the best place to win cash while watching sports. Football season's here, basketball coming up, baseball, you name it. You go to prizepicks.com/TexAgs and start having some fun watching sports, making some money on there. And you can play Prize Picks in over 40 states, including California and Texas. Remember, they'll give you $50 in lineups once you play $5 lineups on Prize Picks. And they have the new thing. It's called It's Good to Be Right campaign, and they're kicking off the upcoming NFL season with their bold new campaign, It's Good to Be Right. The seasonal long push celebrates the thrills of getting it right, from the perfect prediction to winning your Prize Picks lineups. Prize Picks, it's good to be right.
Well, final segment of the Go Hour, but we still got 2 hours to go. Obi, a couple notes for you before we hit the break, because we got like 30 seconds. Hugh Freeze as an SEC coach, Auburn and Ole Miss, following a loss, is 15-18, and he's lost in bunches several times. 4 consecutive losses in 23, 3 consecutive losses in 23, 4 consecutive losses in 24, and that happened at Liberty as well.
Well, I hope they lose this week, and then I hope they go on a run and win a lot of games.
Yeah. But
just like I normally never do this, but I'm rooting for Notre Dame now.
Yeah, I am too. Thank you, Obi.
Yep.
Come back with John Harris, TexAgs Live. And we're back, TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's continue the college football discussion. After Robert Earl Keen, we'll go to another guy that I love. His name is John Harris. He is the professor. He's from footballtakeover.com. He's a Houston Texans sideline reporter and my dear friend. What's up, Johnny?
Good on, David. How you doing?
Good, man. I'm good. So I want to ask you, just take a step back as a coach, right? You've coached many years. How can Auburn beat A&M? Like, what does Auburn have to do to beat A&M this weekend? And then I'll ask you the flip of that. What does A&M have to do to beat Auburn?
Well, I think the biggest thing for Auburn is their edge players who are pretty good, Crawford and Falk, they're pretty good. I think they got to get after Marcel and keep Marcel from getting out of the pocket, keep him from creating off structure. I think that's probably the biggest thing for Auburn is just to contain Marcel and force him to have to throw from the well. Now, Marcel's, we know, not a huge guy. And if he's got to throw over a bunch of 6'4", 6'5" guys in the middle, and now you keep him from making some of the throws that he likes to make, then I think, okay, maybe. But I think those edge guys for Auburn have really got to take their game to another level. They did a pretty good job on John Mateer. Now, Mateer is a different kind of quarterback than Marcel. I think that Marcel has a few different ways that he can win, even if he is throwing from the pocket. But I think if I'm Auburn, that's my biggest deal is, hey, look, you two edge guys are really damn good, but you've got to keep 10 in the pocket, and your rush has to be smart. You can't go flying upfield thinking you're going to beat these tackles. Even if they set short or set inside, then, you're going to end up letting him run underneath you, and he's going to make a play or get underneath you and then throw a ball down the field and then create an explosive. So if I'm Auburn, I've got the two defensive ends that can do it. I think that's definitely one way. Now, offensively, if the game is, put in Jackson Arnold's hands, I don't know that I'm happy about that. But I got to make sure, just like last year, that Cam Coleman gets plenty of looks. He's Auburn's most explosive player. I like Eric Singleton, fine. But Cam Coleman is the guy that can break it open. And A&M obviously had issues with him last year. Jackson Arnold's got to go to him as much as possible. But I don't know if that's the way Auburn's offense is wired, to be honest. So, to me, the two best athletes or three best athletes Auburn has are the two edge rushers and then Coleman. Well, you got to unleash those guys on A&M and see if A&M can handle it. On the flip side, I feel like A&M's at home, got to play their game. I think every time Jackson Arnold gets out of the pocket, punish him. Oklahoma had 10 sacks last week. Now, I do feel like Oklahoma's defense has improved greatly from last year. But they got 10 sacks, and R. Mason Thomas didn't even play in the first half. So I think it is frustrate Jackson Arnold. If I have to double or roll coverage to Coleman, I'm going to do it. I'm absolutely going to do it because I can't let that guy, he's a game wrecker on the offensive side. I can't let him ruin the game. But I don't feel like Auburn can run for 300 yards or, do something like that. And I don't think Jackson Arnold can beat me. So play your technique, be sound. You don't have to get exotic and crazy. Create pressure on Jackson Arnold with the four guys you have up front. Play good, solid, sticky coverage. Can give some more help to Cam Coleman, no matter who's in coverage on him, and then go win the football game like you should at home.
Talking to John Harris here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Is this a game that you think Le'Veon and the backfield gets a bulk of carries, at least towards the end of the game? Because I feel like we haven't had that game where it's about the A&M running game.
Yeah, I could see that. I think it's dependent on how this game, turns. I don't think it's going to be 41-40. I don't think that. But I think Auburn pretty athletic up front. Now, I do think that a good mix of all of them in the fourth quarter probably, leads to, and hopefully they're getting the football because they're ahead and they're trying to grind Auburn and, win the football game that way. And I'm okay with that. I don't know, David, if I totally get away from what's been working, if I'm being honest, because Craver and Concepcion are arguably the best pair of receivers in the country. So I don't know that I want to get away from getting them the ball. So the nice thing about it is I at least have a different way of winning a game. If Auburn decides, hey, look, I remember Auburn did this to Joe Burrow in the 2019 team. They played like a 3-2 and then played dime the whole game. And they're like, you're just not going to throw it on us. You're just not going to throw it on us. And Auburn was the only team that really played a close game with LSU as a result. So, if Auburn says, all right, work, obviously different staffs and that. But if Auburn says, we're just taking those two guys away, we're going to play dime, we're going to challenge you guys to just run the ball, play after play after play. If I'm A&M, I'm like, yeah, okay, great. We'll do that. That's fine. You're giving us this. We'll take it. So what I love about this A&M offense this year, there are multiple ways to win. And I think last year, I don't know that you had multiple ways to win if the receivers couldn't get separation. Well, these two guys can. They can get open in a phone booth. And I think that just gives them multiple ways. So, if Auburn wants to do, some tricky things with the coverage and play dime, and they're going to bracket one of the two or both the receivers just to take them away, hell, Marcel, just spend the game handing it off and see if their 4 or 5 in the box can stop you in the run game. And I don't know that Auburn can do that. They're talented on the edges, but I don't know that you can't get things moved inside, especially if there's no run support from the secondary because they're so concerned about the passing game.
Johnny, what do you think about Hugh Freeze as a coach? Like, he had this perception at Ole Miss. It hasn't gone to plan at Auburn. But overall, when you think about him as a coach, from a football perspective, what do you think?
That's a tough question, David. I always like coaches that come from the high school ranks because I feel like in the high school ranks, that's where you have to be creative. You have to be innovative. You don't always, get the players you want to have. And so you got to be creative on how you do things. And I feel like when he went to Ole Miss, that he tapped into that creativity. And he apparently tapped into some bags somewhere else. And, as Laramie Tunsil copped to at some point. So there's this kind of, how much of it was just going out and paying a bunch of really good players and then you just managed them versus how good an actual coach he is. And I go back and forth on it, David, if I'm being honest. I think that he's done a really good job in player procurement. And now they've got the NIL and a transfer portal. Now he can do it legally. So, in all honesty, I don't know. Turning around to Ole Miss when he did, wow, it was great. But he had Laquan Treadwell, he had Laramie Tunsil. He had other Robert Kimdichie. He got all those guys on the same day. Well, how did that happen? Was it because he was a good coach or a good recruiter, or he had friends in bank places? So I don't know. I'm caught in between on Hugh because of having been a high school coach. I tend to like those guys that have made it in college football. But Auburn's had some talent. I just don't know that they play up to that talent lately. The last couple of years, they've had a couple of moments. Beat A&M. Okay, that was a tremendous win for them. But I don't know what else they've done that you go, yeah, Hugh Freeze is making a significant impact at Auburn. Look, maybe it's just Auburn. Maybe Auburn is just not that place where you can win on a consistent basis year in and year out. Ran out Gus Malzahn, even though Gus was pretty successful there for a while. I don't know. Maybe your welcome is just worn out in a short amount of time at Auburn. And I know he's only been there a couple of years, but I don't know. It's funny you ask that because that's a guy I never know what to think about him. In large part because of, how he had his success at Ole Miss. I never felt like it was the coaching part that made me feel like, oh, yeah, he's a great coach. It's like, Ed Orgeron. I never felt like Coach O was a great coach. He ended up in 2019 with the most talented team we'd seen in a long time. And then he got out of the way and let his coaches coach. So I kind of go back and forth on it. Hopefully he's not a great coach on Saturday, I'll tell you that.
Talking to John Harris here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Tough break for Oklahoma as they're climbing the rankings and looking really good. They're going to lose John Mateer for a month. What does that do to Oklahoma?
Yeah, I don't think it craters them. I think they have found some confidence, especially defensively. I think with Venables calling the plays and taking back over the defense, I thought it was smart of him. I mean, at first I was kind of like, man, is this too much on your plate? Is this kind of a desperate move? But I think that's really worked well. That defense has played lights out. So it's going to be tough, though, because that offense and everything about it revolves around that quarterback. Ben Arbuckle's done a great job, but it's the quarterback that drives it. And Mateer was the guy doing it. And I remember watching the first few games, I'm like, man, this is a lot of carries. He can't carry the ball this much once he gets in the SEC. And they ended up playing, one game in the SEC, and then one against Michigan, and he got hurt. It just goes to show you can't 10, 12, 15 times run the ball unless maybe you're Cam Newton and you're 6'6", 250, you're a tight end running it. You just can't do it consistently and be really successful. So I do hate it for Mateer, and I hate it selfishly because I like watching him and I like watching Oklahoma with him on the field. So I think it will impact them. I was really looking forward. We had a bye week. We got a bye week, after the Baltimore game. That's the week at Texas OU. I've never been to Texas OU, and I thought, man, this should be a good opportunity to see this one. And I don't know. I want to go see it now because I really wanted to see Mateer up close, get a good scouting angle on him and what he could do in the NFL. So seeing him up close helps. But I don't think I'll be doing that now with him being on a shelf. But that defense will keep them in games. That defense is stout. 10 sacks on Auburn. Auburn's got a couple NFL guys in the offensive line, and Oklahoma just turned them inside out. So that defense will keep them in games, but they're going to run into a couple of buzzsaws, I think, before Mateer could come back. That's going to give them a loss or two.
Johnny, do you expect a shootout between Alabama and Georgia? Last year was a shootout. The way the defenses have played this year could potentially be that again.
Yep, absolutely. That is definitely going to be a shootout. And I'm here for it. It was last year. I mean, Georgia got back in the game last year when Alabama's defense just went to hell in the second half. Luckily, Jalen Milroe and Ryan Williams made a couple plays for Alabama. They get the win. Yeah, this is I think there's the way these defenses are playing, I can't see it not being a shootout. Like, I don't know how it turns into, a 1980s I formation SEC 17-14 kind of football game. Like, I don't see that. There's some dudes offensively on both sides, and I don't see the dudes defensively on either side. The only way it becomes, I think, a kind of grind it out. I don't even see that. I just don't think it can happen. But, teams turn the ball over, it gets sloppy, and then all of a sudden both teams get tight. But I don't see it happen. There are too many, big weapons. Zachariah Branch on Georgia, London Humphreys, the running game. They got 2-3 guys they can go to in the running game. And Gunnar Stockton's got all kinds of confidence now. And Alabama with Ryan Williams, Ty Simpson's throwing it well. They got a little confidence, beating Wisconsin, I guess. So I think this is going to be a high score. I don't even know what the over-under is on this one yet. I haven't even looked yet. But I would think over. And I think, in some cases, it's funny because all those years that SEC fans would poke at the Big 12. Oh, look at the Big 12. It's 51-48. Yeah, well, the SEC's playing a few of those games now, too. So either the SEC learn how to play offense or, maybe the defenses in the SEC just aren't as good this year. Maybe that's the case, but I think we should see a pretty high-scoring game in that one.
Johnny, this LSU-Ole Miss game, I don't know how I feel about either team because I should feel better about LSU because, they had that great win against Clemson. Their defenses played awesome. But since I don't know much about Clemson other than they're not good, sometimes I kind of overrate the defense, but I still think they're really good. The offense hasn't shown up. Ole Miss, who knows who's going to be the quarterback this weekend? How are you breaking this one down?
Yeah, you got it right, David, because LSU's beating Clemson in Florida. They have a combined 2 wins. So how good were those wins? I still think they were good wins. You beat Clemson on the road, and you beat a Florida team at home. And I think how you beat Florida is the more important thing. That defense picked him off 5 times, picked off DJ Lagway 5 times. And in picking him off 5 times, it wasn't as if balls got tipped and picked off. No, they were all scheme interceptions. They confused him. The LSU defensive backs baited him into throws. I'm like, man, they went out to the transfer portal. And this goes to show why I think Clemson and Dabo Swinney have either got to have a come-to-Jesus meeting. Well, they got to have a come-to-Jesus meeting in that they're either going to stick with Dabo, and if they stick with Dabo, then he's got to make some significant changes about how he builds the roster. Because you look at LSU, And yeah, they got Harold Perkins back. Yeah. And Deshaun Spears is a young dude. But they bring in Mansane Delore from Virginia Tech. That dude's really good. He'd be a first-round, second-round corner. They transferred him in, and he is tremendous. They've got transfers other places. Patrick Payton came in from FSU. They've got transfers that have come in and made significant impacts as well. But they got talent all over the place on the defense. And so I think LSU goes back to kind of its old framework, which was we can win with his defense. And right now, you'd be hard-pressed to find a better overall defense in the country than what LSU has. But I think Ole Miss pushes them. I think if it's Trinidad Chambliss, his run pass, dual threat, he's been really good. I don't see Austin Simmons playing. But I know this one last year, the Ole Miss guys are kind of lying in wait for this one. I just don't know that offense will do what it does against LSU's defense. I think that LSU is going to use some of the similar schemes they used against Lagway and use them against Chambliss and see if he doesn't throw them a couple of picks. The LSU offense got to pick it up. They're too talented. But the offensive line is not great, and the run game hasn't clicked, and Nussmeier's still playing some YOLO football. That's got to round into shape, but yet they're doing it and winning, unlike a team I know that is doing some good things at times, and they're a mess other places, but they're losing, and they're 0-3, and everything is on fire. LSU is winning games, and the defense is good. It's allowing the offense to kind of come along at its own pace. It's going to be tough for LSU to win it, though. I still think they do, but it's going to be probably – we talk about Alabama, Georgia being high scoring. I think this one is lower scoring. This one feels 27-24-ish kind of range for LSU Ole Miss.
Johnny, let's close out with the Texans. I don't know where to begin.
Do we have to?
I mean,
do we have to?
We don't really have to. I'm kind of sad. This is not what I expected.
Yeah, same. I mean, it's brutal. You've lost 3 games by a total of 13 points. You give up 17 points a game, which is 5th or 6th in the NFL. And you, in game 1, get the ball punched out at the opponent's 18-yard line down 5. You can't make a sack on 4th and 10 in week 2 that would have ended the game. And the other day, good Lord, you have 3 turnovers that occur in the red zone in the 4th quarter. And I don't have to say this. You don't win games that way. So, it's just been a tough struggle. And then obviously the C.J. Gardner-Johnson stuff yesterday. In a sense, it sort of confirmed some of the feelings that maybe we had that something wasn't quite right. Why was it wrong? And some of the mistakes that were made during games. So from that standpoint, it's been rough. It's been rough, but hopefully get a win this weekend and, just get that winning feeling back again. Because Dave, we haven't had that either. We haven't won a home regular season game since beating Tua Tagovailoa back in December. And that's the only one at home regular season game that we've won since week 8 last year against the Indianapolis Colts when Stephon Diggs went down with a torn ACL. That's it. We won 1 regular season game at home. We've lost 5. So we got to get it back, and hopefully the Titans are the right tonic. But look, if the Titans win this weekend, I don't know where I'll be the following weekend. That's for sure.
Johnny, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much.
Yeah, man. Love you. See you, bro.
See you, bro. That's my guy, John Harris, on TexAgs Live on the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. We'll hit a break. We'll come back with Max Wright. Right now, we're talking about Pumpkin Palooza, Brazos Valley's favorite fall festival. It's happening in the middle of October, the 18th to the 19th at Milliken Reserve in South College Station. Yes, the pumpkins really do fly. The festival's famous pumpkin chunkin launchers send pumpkins soaring. They also have hay rides, pumpkin painting, farm and animals, inflatables, games, pumpkin games, and teen competitions. You can fly cast on Saturday with the Good Fly Roundup, the Pumpkin Trail Run on Sunday, and the youth mountain biking on Sunday as well, plus kayaking and paddling. Come and eat and drink whatever you want. Enjoy food and music trucks and the Wildflower Meat and Beer Company Beer Garden by the Lake. Ticket savings if you do it in September and October, a little bit higher, and then higher at the gates as well. Make sure you check it out. It's going to be 2 venues, 1 awesome event, Milliken Reserve. You'll arrive at the farm, and that's where the Pumpkin Chunkin' Farm Fun, food trucks, and much, much more will be. Go visit the website for more details, pumpkinpaloozabcs.com. That is pumpkinpaloozabcs.com.
Everyone, David Nuño here for Allen Honda. Had a great conversation with them earlier today. John Allen's the owner. He's been here forever, and also their GM, Rusty Skinner, great guy. Wonderful conversation. They're super local. They're a family-owned dealership, not some massive auto group, and they treat their customers like family because they basically are family. They're Aggie alums. They love Aggie sports, and they've been serving the Brazos Valley with integrity, with passion, and commitment to excellence for over 50 years, which is very rare, by the way, for the independents because people trust them. And that's why they've been doing it for such a long time. Whether you're looking to buy, lease, or service your vehicle, you can count on them for transparent, no pressure experience that puts your needs first. And I can attest to it. Had a great conversation about my own situation with them. Their knowledgeable sales team will help you find the perfect Honda to fit your lifestyle, from fuel-efficient sedans to versatile SUVs. Leasing options are flexible and affordable, making it easy to drive the latest models with confidence. And when it comes to service, their certified technicians only use genuine Honda parts to keep your vehicle running at its best, whether it's routine maintenance for major repairs or whatever it may be. And we know that trust isn't given, it is earned, and that's why generations of local drivers right here in the Brazos Valley and Bryan College Station keep coming back to Allen Honda. As part of the community with Aggie spirit in their hearts, they are here to make everyone's visit wonderful. So visit their showroom or their service lane and find friendly, efficient, and memorable situations when you go to Allen Honda. Come see why so many College Station and Bryan drivers choose Allen Honda for their automotive needs, and remember, gig 'em. You think we have similar personalities? We're on the air, by the way. Sid thinks that Caden and I have similar personalities. I think Max Wright and I have similar personalities. We're both tall and really good athletes, or at least one of us played college football.
I did play high school for 12 days. Hey, Max Wright, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. He's on the Buppy's Catering and Bartending hotline. Hey, let's take a. Last week we talked about how big the Notre Dame win was. Now, as we shift our focus to Auburn, this is a big game in multiple ways. I think it's now that you're quote unquote one of the 100 teams, right? Once you get in the top 10, you become one of these 100 teams. I'd like to see how they respond. So, how big of a game can it be? Both ways, positively and negatively.
Yeah, I think your assessment of it is just right. I think this is potentially a good momentum game for us and a big momentum game for us for the rest of the season. But it can also be something that kind of can come back to bite you if you take it easily. This Auburn team is like Auburn teams that I've played before in years past. They're scrappy, they're physical, they're going to play you hard. Auburn's just one of those teams that no matter the year that they're having, they're going to find a way to compete in big games. They're not a team who's going to get put away easily. You're going to have to play good, sound football and minimize your errors in order to beat this team. I think that for the talent that we have on this team and the way that we've played the past few weeks, I do think that this is a game that if they go out and play well, they can win this football game and can make a statement that, okay, hey, we're not a team that's going to play up to our competition or play down to it like we have in previous seasons. I think that's been one of the things that has kind of been a trademark for the teams that I was a part of was, we would play up against these top 10 ranked opponents, but then we'd go out and we'd drop a game to a team that everyone thought that we should go out and win against. So I want to see consistency and our guys play our level of football and not get brought down to another team's level and just play good, sound football. If they do that this weekend, I'm more than confident that they're going to come out with a W and it's going to be a statement win for them that, hey, this isn't just a big game football team. This is a consistent, high-level, championship-level football team.
What can Auburn do to cause problems for A&M?
I think the big thing I think Auburn can do is try to minimize our rushing attack. I do think that they have a good defensive front. Auburn's defensive line, we kind of showed that against Oklahoma this past weekend. They were able to minimize Oklahoma's rushing attack. I think that's where it's going to start. They're going to have to try and slow down the offense. If they can find ways to remove and make us one-dimensional where we can't run the football, then that's what they're going to have to do to slow us down. I think also then on the flip side, with the offensive side of the ball, they're going to have to be able to pass the football well against our secondary. They've got a really talented receiver core. Cam Coleman is the real deal. I was there and played against them my last year at A&M. That guy is a great talent. And I think that they have some receivers in that room who can take over football games if you let them. So our secondary needs to be disciplined. We got to find ways to get after the quarterback. And I think we saw that last week in Oklahoma, man, their ability to get after Jackson Arnold. They sacked him 10 times. I think this is a game that Cassius Howell and our defensive line's looking at as a great opportunity to go out and make a statement that they can impact games and prevent teams from beating them in the air. So I think Auburn's going to have to, win the rushing attack on defense. They're going to have to stop Le'Veon Moss. They're going to have to stop Amari Daniels, that deep running back room. And then they're going to have to be able to throw the football against us well offensively to put us in trouble on Saturday.
But offensively, like what A&M's been able to do, and I think we'll figure out how good Notre Dame's defense is really in the long run. But they've been scoring 41 routinely, right? 40-plus a game. Do you think this game is one of those kind of games that, hey, okay, try to double Mario Craver. We've got Casey on the other side. We got Terry Bussey. Oh, and by the way, if you guys do spread out like that, we still have Le'Veon Moss, who was the best back in football last year before he got hurt, or at least in the SEC.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think this is one of those games that Auburn plays really tough physical football, and they're going to play high-level ball against a high-level opponent. That's just one of the teams that they are. So for us, this is a statement game that we are dynamic, and if you try to stop one side of our game, the other side's going to open wide up and blow you out of the water. I think that KC and Mario Craver are going to have to be big on Saturday, and I think they will be big for us on Saturday. Those guys have been consistent through the first 3 games, and if we can find ways to get them the football, I'm really excited to see the offense roll. I think you're right, though, man. It's been fun to watch our offense be able to put up 40-plus points a game, man. I've loved seeing that and love seeing my guys go out there and do well. I do think, though, anytime that you play against an SEC defense, no matter if it's a home or away, it's a test for your offense. It's just different football whenever you get into SEC play. So I'm excited to see how these guys react. Your assessment's correct, though. This is a dynamic offense, and I think the most dynamic offense that we've had in recent years. And I think they're going to get the chance to show that in the coming weeks, playing against more SEC opponents.
Yeah, I agree with you. Let's flip our attention to the schedule over the next few years. I don't know if you've taken a look at it, but just for next year, Texas, Arkansas, Kentucky, Tennessee at home, and then on the road at LSU, at Missouri, at Alabama, at South Carolina, at Oklahoma. I know it's supposed to be hard, and I know teams are going to get their hard year too, right? Or years. Man, that seems hard, especially going back to LSU back-to-back years, back to Missouri back-to-back years.
Yeah, I was looking at those schedules. The SEC road games that you play in 26 those are tough, man, and those are hard environments to go in and win at. And I've been in some games in those environments where the environment had taken over. So it's exciting to see the foundation that's built in this season, hopefully, to prepare us for those road games in 26, to go out and be prepared and not let the environments get to you. But for those who don't know, those road games the environment plays such a factor. I mean, that's why people talk about the 12th man. That's why people talk about Kyle Field and why it's such a hard field to play in, because it's a real thing. Your overall communication on the field, your ability to get comfortable, the environment after mistakes are made. It's just everything becomes more of a focal point whenever you're on the road. So those big games in 26, that is a really tough schedule. But I think that if you have a team that's disciplined and plays high level football, you can go into those environments and win. It's a testament to teams that you see that ultimately find themselves playing really late into the season, up into January, who are able to go on the road and win consistent road games in the SEC like that. So yeah, I'm excited. I think it's fun to see. Also seeing Georgia coming in to Kyle Field, and I think it's 27, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, man, I think there's some big games on the horizon over the next few years, and the realigning is kind of interesting. I do wish that we would have maybe kept Arkansas as one of our every single year rivals, but obviously the SEC knows what they're doing with their scheduling, so it's going to be really fun next few years, and I'm pumped to see how they do.
Hey, Max, we got to close out here. Let's go 45 seconds or less. Do you think we see Jimbo coaching again? There's that Oklahoma State opening now, potentially. Maybe they would call. Maybe if another SEC team in Arkansas. Do you see Jimbo coaching again?
Man, put me on the spot. I don't know. I think that coaching is a part of who Jimbo is. He's super passionate about it, and having spent 6 years with him, I do think that he's someone who that is wired into his DNA. So I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he went after another job and tried to get back into the coaching game. I'd be really interested to see with kind of how some things are changing up in the college football landscape if he gets another shot here in the next few years. So we'll see.
Max, great stuff, man. Thanks so much for your time, buddy.
Yes, sir. Thank you, David.
Later, buddy. Gig 'em. Max Wright there on the Buppy's Catering Bartending Hotline. We'll hit a break. We will come back with Darrell Dapprich, who's an Auburn insider. We're kind of late for that, so I apologize to him. Cade, tell him I apologize. Right now, Heritage Films, when it comes to preserving your family's life story, whatever that is important to your family, maybe it's your front porch that you want to talk about. Maybe it's your family ranch. Maybe it's your family business. Maybe you want to honor your grandfather. You want to honor your mom. Let Heritage Films do that honor, right? They'll do this 2-hour documentary that is second to none. It is first class. And when I say like a 2-hour documentary, like you see on Netflix, like you see on HBO, that's exactly what they do. They're incredible. They will capture the essence of your land. It is Heritage Films. The website is yourheritagefilm.com. Yourheritagefilm.com. Call up Chance and he'll tell you all about it. 713-893-8341. It's Heritage Films. And we're back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. Darrell Dapprich, Auburn Insider, joining us. Darrell, I'm sorry, I had to tell an intern that we were back. He was just yapping over here, telling me all the stuff he knows about college sports. How are you, buddy?
Good, man. I'm doing well. Like the bumper music. Really appreciate that. That was great.
Hey, buddy, you are at least in the top 5 of guests we had today. Robert Earl Keen, and you're somewhere on there, too.
Yeah, I'm probably right at 5th. Solid. It depends on which poll you use. You use the coaches poll or the AP poll. That's where I'm probably located at.
Hey, help me understand this Auburn team, because we've been talking about them all week, obviously, and they scare me way more than they scared me last year. Okay, as a fan of A&M, but I still don't know about them. Is that kind of the feeling for you all there too? You feel like they've taken a step, but maybe you haven't seen that step yet?
Absolutely. It's that show me narrative. There are things that have to be accomplished that first time, that mountain climb. Hugh Freeze has yet to win a really, really close game. Those one-score games, I think those coaching records came out yesterday. Look, we talked about this on another Auburn show yesterday. His best road win in the conference is probably at Arkansas. His best road win overall is at Baylor. He has got to get that signature win. This program has to get that signature win where they get over the hump. And playing teams close and losing by one score isn't good enough yet until you see it. So that's the unknown. I think everyone feels good about the direction and the roster, and it looks better, but results still matter, and you've got to get that signature win on the road that is yet to come.
How much did that A&M victory last year mean for Hugh Freeze, for this program? Because I was reminded of the celebration afterwards. It was a triple overtime game. They needed it. I recognize that. I'm not trying to downplay it. But did he need that for recruiting momentum? Did he need that for a little bit more job security? Was that a big moment for them?
It was. I think it's because Texas A&M is a respected opponent by Auburn throughout the SEC. They were playing really good football. They were ranked. That game was just epic with the way that it ended. I mean, I think the folklore that was added to it because of the so many overtimes. But then there was a side of some of us in that press conference, to be perfectly honest, David, that said the way Auburn started that game, it's concerning that it went to that many overtimes. I mean, give A&M credit. I mean, Auburn had the best start you could have in a game, and A&M did not lie down. They came back, and it was absolutely looked like A&M was going to win the football game. And an unlikely scenario played out where Peyton Thorne took Auburn down the field for a game-tying score. And so there was a sense of relief, I think, and probably why you saw that celebration, because that would have been devastating to lose that lead and lose the game that way.
Darrell, I don't know if I've told you this before, but I feel like I sometimes say things out and it hurts the Aggie football program, right? For instance, I thought Peyton Thorne was the worst quarterback I saw maybe ever when he came to Kyle Field 2 years ago. He was, I forget how many yards he threw for, call it 89, 91, whatever it was. He was a disaster, okay? I say that, and then he looks like Joe Montana against Texas A&M. So I'm not going to say anything about the 10 sacks. I'm not going to say anything about Jackson Arnold and yada, yada, yada. But how much of an upgrade is Jackson Arnold over Peyton Thorne?
I think there are intangibles. There's two types of upgrades. I think physically on the field, as far as the tools, he's an upgrade. He has better legs, but more accuracy on his throws. But there is a moxie that Jackson Arnold has, a little bit more of a swagger that Peyton Thorne didn't. Peyton Thorne often looked scared, often looked like a deer in the headlights, often looked unsure, and did not have the full confidence of his teammates the way Jackson Arnold does. Even in a loss last week at Oklahoma, coming off the field, there was this persona that, he gave everything he had like a gunslinger. This team likes to follow him, and I think that there's an upgrade with, like I said, the moxie, and there's an upgrade with the intangibles physically too. So I think it's just a combination of both. He also does a really good job, David, of taking care of the football, which we know was a really big problem with Peyton Thorne's 2 years there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So Hugh Freeze was on, I have it here, Tiger Talk. He mentioned A&M being I guess, a little bit more complete team than Oklahoma. Is that, coach speak? What do you think? Do you think he thinks that?
I know for a fact he thinks that. I have some insight with some of the coaches that we have a good relationship with that share things, and I think the coaching staff feels like they're a significant upgrade offensively. You can say all you want about Mateer and all the Heisman hype and all that. He had one really good drive. Now, it turns out that he had a broken thumb, but still, Auburn did a really good job. I think Auburn feels like A&M's running game is more potent. They feel like Reed can, even though Mateer's supposed to be very mobile, they feel like Reed is more dangerous with the versatility and the mobility. And then, no doubt, probably two of the best receivers in the conference. I look at A&M's offense, and I see a lot of mirror applications with Auburn's. An emerging running game, two really good receivers, and a quarterback that's mobile and comes in pretty touted, highly touted. The offensive lines are going to be the key and the factor. I don't know. I know that Auburn's offensive line got absolutely drilled about what happened last week. But then you look at the rankings that came out 2 days ago, and they're like 11th in the country with efficiency. Because some of that was Arnold holding on to the ball too long. Some of that, to be perfectly honest, and if people were honest with themselves, go back and watch the tape. Some of those were designed quarterback runs, and Arnold never made it back to the line of scrimmage. So is that the offensive line's fault? I mean, are you blocking certain schemes? Did Arnold pick the wrong gap to go through? So a combination of three. Yes, they got whipped along the front on a few plays because of Oklahoma's defensive line. He held on to the ball too long sometimes, and also designed quarterback draws that barely made it to the line of scrimmage, got counted as sacks.
All right, let me close out with this question. Jay Crawford, what's his status? For those who don't know, how important is he to the secondary? And considering how good the A&M wide receiver group is that a devastating loss for them if he's not able to go? I think he was questionable the last I saw.
Yeah, it's very impactful. I don't know if I would say devastating, but I would say he was upgraded from doubtful to questionable. He's Auburn's best corner. He's one of those guys that people just stay away from. You watch, the way they offensive coordinators scheme and they go away from Jay Crawford. Yes, they got Rayshawn Pleasant and Rayon Strader, who are good players, but Jay Crawford is one of the best corners in the SEC. So anytime you lose one of the best corners in the SEC, it's going to make a significant impact. Oklahoma's receivers don't pose near the threat that Texas A&M's don't. So I think if Crawford that they do, I think if Crawford can't play at 100% Saturday, that will be more obvious in this game than it was the Oklahoma game.
That's very interesting stuff. Darrell, great stuff. You can check out his work on Locked On Auburn, and he's all over the place. So, Darrell, we appreciate your time, bud. We'll talk to you soon, all right?
Thanks, guys. Take care.
You too, buddy. Always enjoyed talking to Darrell here on the program. We'll hit a break. We will come back with Around Aggieland. I told Kaylee Dryer it was going to be yesterday just because I wanted to scare her. We'll see if she's ready for it today. Daily Company, they're a family-owned, licensed, insured business that offers HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and generator services. That's available to you 24/7, 365. They got it all. They can fix your generators. Well, not only can they fix them, they can, get them ready to go. If there's ever a power outage, they want to make sure that you're ready to roll. Electrical wiring, outlet repairs, upgrades, safety and efficiency, plumbing, leak repairs, clogged drains, water heater installation, and they'll keep those pipes in top shape. Thermostat repairs, refrigerant leaks, furnace failures, seasonal tune-ups. They do it all, and they serve Bryan, College Station. They serve Houston and Austin. Upfront pricing with no surprises. It is the Daily Company. Contact them at 979-260-2020. That's 969-260-2020. Or visit them online at godaily.com to experience the daily difference.
the timing of the show sometimes. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Kaylee Dryer is here for Around Aggieland. Hi,
Good
Dryer.
morning. How are you?
Hey, I don't know if you saw the score, but the Texans haven't won a game.
Oh, I know.
So I just didn't know if you knew. Oh, sorry.
Trust me, I know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was.
And the Astros
Vegas,
haven't been very good
actually.
either, right?
Yeah, no, they're not making the postseason, and at this rate, neither are the Texans. So Houston's not doing very well.
But in College Station and around Aggieland, including Brian, I got to make sure I get the Brian love, right? Things are going on.
Yeah, I'm excited to get back in Kyle Field this weekend for A&M football. And speaking of Aggie football, the SEC announced Texas A&M's opponents for conference games from 2026 through 2029. It'll be a 9-game schedule beginning next season. Each school will play every other SEC school at least once every 2 years and play every opponent home and away over the 4 years. Some notable opponents for the Aggies include playing Oklahoma in 2026 for the first time since the 2012 Cotton Bowl and hosting Georgia in 2027 for the first time. Moving on to some events happening today, the number 13 Texas A&M volleyball team begins SEC play tonight, hosting number 21 Missouri at Reed Arena with the first serve set for 6 p.m. They concluded their non-conference schedule, sweeping Southeastern Louisiana, New Hampshire, and Loyola Marymount. The Aggies didn't drop a single set and outscored opponents 225 to 151 over the 3 matches. So come out to Reed tonight and support the girls. Texas A&M soccer dropped to 0-3 in SEC play and 3-4-3 on the season as they came up short against the number 10 Arkansas Razorbacks, losing 1-0. The Aggies look to bounce back, taking on yet another top 10 team as they travel to Knoxville to face number 5 Tennessee. And then last thing I have is Alex Versina and Colo Motzi are competing in the ITA All-American Championships as the singles and double main draw begin today. Versina began his tournament this morning at 9 a.m. against Corey Craig from Florida State, and Motzi will join him in the doubles draw later today.
Excellent stuff. Thank you very much, Kaylee.
Thank you.
When we come back on TexAgs Live, we will talk to Ryan Brauninger. And after Ryan Brauninger, we'll talk to Peter Burns, who, by the way, is also a huge Robert Earl Keen fan, so I'll make sure I brag about that interview there. It's on TexAgs.com if you want to listen to it, if you didn't hear it when it happened at 8:35. We'll hit a break. We'll come back with all of that. Right now, though, we're talking about the Rollo Insurance Group. They build lasting relationships through education, helping you understand what you're buying and the why behind it. They have expertise in everything from home to auto to business to specialty coverage, and their independent agents provide options tailored to your specific needs. They want to make sure that you understand exactly what you're paying for, doing the shopping for you so that you can accomplish all of your insurance goals. Their educational approach is going to empower you to make informed decisions about protecting your family, your home, and your business. Many clients discover better protection at competitive rates simply by understanding their options. Experience the difference at their 60-plus Texas locations, but of course, their headquarters is right here in College Station on Highway 6. Visit their website, rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. That is rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. Or call them up, 888-44-ROLLO. That's 888-44-ROLLO. It is Rollo Insurance.
We're back. It's TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Time for Recruiting Country, brought to you by American Momentum Bank. And with that, we have the host of the B Team, the man who gets to eat great food all around the state of Texas.
And beyond.
Ryan Brauninger.
Howdy.
I'm a little bit jealous of your bit. It's not a bit, it's a lifestyle. Because I feel like you're going to get some free food out of this at some point, if you haven't already.
Marketing genius is my wife, not me. She was the one that encouraged me to start Brawny Bites.
Yep.
And something, I don't know, having fun with it. And
have you given a poor review yet?
Yeah, I gave one when I was in Park City, Utah. A burger place.
Did you put it online?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Came highly recommended, and it was no good. It gave it like a 5.6.
Out of 10?
Out of 10.
Huh.
So
how do you come up with a 5.6? What's the scale? Like,
you're trying to think about, like, okay, don't want to bury these people. And I'm not saying there's going to get a lot of interaction with it, but I guess I'm too nice of a guy to just publicly bury somebody that has not done anything to me. But you try to be honest, and because I get recommendations on everywhere I go, whether it be in state for the recruiting purposes or when I went out of state, tons of people sent me recommendations in Salt Lake City and Park City, and I did eat very well in Utah. I say very well. I ate pretty good. But when I got back to Texas, I've eaten better since I've gotten back, and most notably yesterday at lunch when I had the best cheeseburger on the planet.
Was it that good? I haven't been.
I mean, I've long since, like, I've got a long-standing take that the cheeseburgers at Top of the Hill out just north of Bryan are the best cheeseburgers on the planet. They're the best cheeseburgers I've ever had, and I've had quite a few cheeseburgers.
Well,
probably more than you.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Not more than me this week. I've had 3.
It doesn't matter. I had the one this week that
it wins.
It wins. Oh, you could eat 1,000 cheeseburgers this week, but the one that I had was better.
Well, do you remember when I was doing that bit where I would evaluate gyms and I would post about it, and like hotel gyms were?
Oh yeah. Why'd you stop?
Because I don't like social media.
The video, the pregame video, night before video with you and Olin at the hotel gym in South Bend. I got a good old, I got an audible pop out of me as soon as I saw you walking backwards, and then Olin's face looking at you like, I can't believe I'm having to stand here next to this idiot. But I'm sure he says that every morning when he comes.
Well, this is true. But to our defense, we kind of had to. We were in the hood, and I was not going to go shoot outside. Like, I just.
Oh, because y'all were in Chicago, not South.
Yeah, we were in Chicago by the airport, and we arrived after 9 o'clock. I'm like, I am not going to go shoot this on that street, so I'm good.
Well, I'm glad you guys made it home safe and sound. But if it takes you walking backwards in every night before video for A&M to continue to win games on the road, then I expect you to make that sacrifice.
Yeah, I might even have to bring back the gi, because I wore the gi on the final countdown before the Notre Dame game, so I may have to do that.
You wore that with the McKinneys and Billy?
Yeah. Just for a segment, I did.
I didn't see that part.
Hey, so beyond the food, how was the trip to Utah?
Can I say something real quick?
Oh, you can say as much as you want.
As I sat down in here, and right as we started this segment, the visitor list has gone out for this weekend.
Okay.
It is extremely extensive.
Oh, here it is.
It is the only place where you will find a list that exhaustive of the players that are coming to Texas A&M.
Until the copy and paste thing happens.
Well, we'll see about that. But what I'm saying is that is a correct list, and it is very exhaustive. And regardless of what you read elsewhere, our information is most of the time it's first, but all of the time it is accurate.
By the way,
like that, Sid?
Say that again.
Most of the time we're first, but all of the time we're accurate.
And when we're not first, there's a reason.
For sure.
Sometimes
discretion is the better form of valor, right?
Sometimes people love to run to social media. I feel like I'm choking, by the way. And they don't check, or they just put it. They just want to be first, as opposed to the way our team works. And I think Billy's done an amazing job. Is we get it all, and we have a strategy behind the way we release things.
I've been doing this for a decade on the recruiting beat now. A lot comes and goes, but there's one constant, and that's us.
Yeah,
it's because of the way we do things.
Interesting way to develop relationships. And let that speak.
Does Coke really concern themselves with Pepsi too much?
Is Pepsi still a thing?
So that's what I'm saying. Oh. Gatorade concerned with Powerade?
That part, I don't know that competition.
Does McDonald's concerned with Burger King?
Nah. Does Bad Bunny concern himself with? Sorry.
What's the deal here with the Bad Bunny thing? Because now you've got the girls yesterday, the blonde crew. We went to lunch and they're doing Bad Bunny impressions and stuff. Like, what'd you do?
Oh, I did nothing. I heard Callie talking about her phone just playing random music randomly or something.
That is crazy. Have you heard about this?
Yeah, that's why.
It's been happening for months.
And she was like, yeah, my phone just starts playing music. And I go, it's
worse than that. It's listening. Her phone has been playing music that she talks about.
That was the experiment yesterday. So I go, all right, fine, give me your phone. And she was I said, Bad Bunny, Bad Bunny, Bad Bunny. And like literally 14 minutes later, I got a text from her, it's playing Bad Bunny.
Wow. It's further evidence that the algorithm is definitely listening to us. Like, she is a real life walking experiment. Do you ever wonder if the algorithm is listening to you? Callie Garner's phone says that it absolutely is. And who knows what the algorithm really is? Like, what is that? It's like the model. I love Josh Pate, and we talked about this on B Team, but he talks about the model. The model is, makes predictions on these games and sets lines on these games, but he also uses his model to do his power ratings. I'd be interested if you could get a peek behind the curtain. Maybe he doesn't want to say it publicly, but next time you have him on, maybe next Tuesday, ask him, is he willing to divulge some of the elements that go into his model? Not all of it, but because I think if he would do that, a lot of people have, every week he posts his power ratings on Tuesday, and people get so out of, they get their panties in a bunch about what, somebody being rated, like A&M still behind Notre Dame, and they can't understand that.
Yep.
So in order for him to help pull the curtain back a little bit, hey, here's some of the elements.
The how. Yeah. By the way, speaking of how everything's interconnected,
what is on Earth?
It's next door. So I was searching on my phone.
Hold on, time out. It's next door.
It's Texas Filmworks.
That's so loud.
It's very loud.
Have you done that all morning?
No, I don't think I've heard it until right now.
Oh, okay.
No, they must be celebrating. But I searched on my phone rucksacks, right? And it showed up later on my MacBook as an advertisement.
I know. It's definitely listening.
All right,
Callie Garner's phone is example A.
So I know you won't divulge too much on the radio about the visitor list, but what can you tell us?
We're still adding to it, by the way.
Okay.
I can tell you.
This is long.
It's over. It's like 100 names.
Wow.
And the commit list, I think, might grow, but we're not for sure there in terms of the guys visiting, not in terms of kids adding their names to the commit class. But you're getting, the headliners here are some of the guys coming in the class of 26 committed elsewhere, most notably Tank Jones, edge rusher out of Mobile, Alabama, who you lost a head-to-head with Oregon. And we said A&M could still hang around there. Getting him back on campus is enormous. You obviously want to treat him to a very good experience, but also want to highlight some of the reasons why you would take the trip from Mobile to College Station as opposed to from Mobile to Eugene, Oregon. I think if you can really hit that on the head, you're going to move the needle even more, right? Like, dude, you're going to move your whole life over halfway across the country to the Pacific Northwest from Mobile. It's not easy to get to Eugene, Oregon. It's far easier to get to College Station, Texas.
So I'm doing the math in my head. I feel like you could fly from Mobile to College Station, have lunch, fly back, go visit, talk to your parents by the time it takes for you to get to Oregon.
Well, you could even add fly into Houston, because I don't think there's going to fly directly to College Station. So fly into Houston and then drive up, and you'll still have plenty of time to do that. Where I think for going to Mobile, you're going to have to go from like Mobile to maybe Dallas, from Dallas to Portland, then Portland drive to Eugene. So there's a lot of steps involved. And it may not matter to the kid, but if it can matter, if there's 1 ounce of data that suggests it might matter, you better take advantage of it. So they need to show him a good time, because this is a kid of the ilk of like a Marco Jones. Like, it is an immediate impact type of player on the defensive line, and we know kind of how much of a premium are put on pass rushers, and he's probably the best in the country. So getting him back on campus is big. KJ Ford, the defensive end out of Duncanville, is on the visitor list. It's interesting because I felt like A&M kind of pulled the reins on that a little bit. In the summer, he committed to Florida.
Yep.
But maybe, the Aggies just keeping guys around.
Good graces,
and it's a smart and prudent task, I believe, in the modern era of recruiting. You've got a ton of kids committed, and you feel, I would say overall with the class, you feel outstanding about where you sit with all of them. You're still fighting some battles to keep, KJ Edwards in the boat and KK Johnson away from Auburn. And there's battles here and there that you're trying to nip in the bud. But overall, you got to feel really good about where you're at. So if you are not having to expend a ton of energy and effort to maintain what you currently have and keep commits in the fold, then some of that energy can be expended upon players that, hey, maybe down the road we want to bring this kid in September because in November and December we might decide we need to put the gas pedal down and go all in on him. So there are some names like that on there. The 2027 list, I know a lot of folks are recruiting in right now in terms of popularity has waned pretty severely, and I think it's just due to the portal and just due to the amount of the flip-flop nature of not only recruiting, that's been that way for a long time. Recruiting has inherently been fluid and mercurial by nature. But when you add the portal on top of it, it's just hard for folks to really dive in, I think, or the amount of folks don't dive in like they used to. So I realize that me touting the 2027 visitor list isn't going to hit home with a lot of people because it's so far away. But there are some of the top names in the state and in the country on that 2027 list as well.
Do you know, like, if I'm sure they have a strategy with this many people, like that's got to be very difficult. Hey, you're responsible for these three, yeah,
well, that's why you have such a big recruiting staff. But it's tough on, the people that are in the day-to-day grind to make sure that they are splitting up their time amongst all of these kids so nobody feels left out. That goes from coaches to Derek Miller and his team on the recruiting side. The just regular student staffers, you want to make sure you trust those kids to, if a coach can't be with a player or a family for 30 or 40 minutes, do you trust them to stick with this student worker? Is the student worker capable of not doing something to screw up a recruitment? Right. And it doesn't matter whether the kid is of the utmost priority or, toward the middle of the pack or what. Like, you want to trust the people that you're around, that they're all pulling on the same rope. And I think they've got a pretty good grasp of that. And Coach Elko talks often about the help of the student workers and just the mass of the student army that want to help A&M football. And he's brought that up multiple times when he's talking about recruiting or just their game day visits. And it's an integral part because when you have visitor lists that are this big, you don't have enough people. Like, there's not enough arms and legs to take care of everybody all the time. So you have to expand those arms and legs to people outside of the inner circle, and you have to trust those people.
You mentioned the 27 list. Even the 28 list is pretty big.
Yeah, in terms of, and again, we're so far down the road, but as we all get older, you start seeing some names pop up that are like, oh, that's so-and-so's son. Wow, I feel really old. So there's a couple of those on there as well.
Yeah. Let's talk about this homestand because I think it could go.
Well, I want to talk about my trip to Utah.
You want to go there next? Okay.
Well, I'd never been up there.
Beautiful, right?
It's incredible. And if you want like the long-winded version of my trip to Utah, go listen to yesterday's edition of the B Team. We talked a lot about it. Ranked our top 5 most beautiful places we'd ever been. Utah came in second for me behind the U.S. Virgin Islands. I was just blown away by the scenery and landscapes up there. I'm from Southeast Texas. I've lived my entire life mostly in flat, swampy areas, and then the last 15, 16 years in College Station, but flat for the most part.
Yeah.
I'd never seen landscapes like that. I'd been to Denver for the A&M Colorado game a few years ago, but Denver's really doesn't have, outside of Denver's got a bunch of those kind of views, but Salt Lake City, Park City, all the way up to Logan, Utah, just breathtaking. Like, take your eyes off the road type of scenery.
Like, pull off the,
No, just like, it's dangerous to drive there, I think, because if you've never seen landscapes like that, it is distracting. Like, you have to look at some of this stuff. Highly recommend a trip up there if you've never been. But from the football side of it, I got to see Helaman Kasuga. And we have not seen Helaman Kasuga in any competitive environment that involved pads. We've only seen him in camps and stuff like that. So, in 7-on-7s. So Helaman, up to that point in the season, had been impeccable, like so good. Taking care of the ball, throwing for huge amounts of yards, tons of touchdowns. They come up against Lone Peak High School, which is out of Highland, Utah. I never heard of Lone Peak. I've heard of some of these schools in the greater Salt Lake area, most notably Corner Canyon, where Helaman goes. They put out Jackson Dart and Devin Brown a couple of years ago. It's a very good quarterback high school in the state of Utah. And so I just went in expecting that Corner Canyon was probably going to have the better roster. Then you start looking at that Lone Peak and you're going, oh, they've only lost one game, and that was by 7 points to IMG. That's noteworthy.
Yeah, IMG,
and then you start looking at their roster and you're going, oh, they've got 5 P4 commits. And they've got twin brothers that play receiver and DB named Kenan and Jaron Pula that are real dudes. They're going to Utah. A lot of people in the stadium told me that night that Alabama had been really pressing on them to flip them. The Jaron Pula kid is a real player. If he sticks with Utah, expect to hear that name out of the Big 12 a lot for a long time. They also had an offensive lineman going to BYU that was highly recruited. They're big and they're physical. And I think that physicality was on display from snap one. Helaman was trying to do all he could, just never could really get in a rhythm early in the game. Had some bad drops that hurt him, but he also turned the ball over 5 times.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, I went up there. He had been taking care of the football like crazy. They play a team that, going in, I thought that Corner Canyon was better than Lone Peak. After the first couple of drives, I said, like Corner Canyon's in trouble because Lone Peak was bigger, more physical, had real playmakers on the outside. They were bigger at the line of scrimmage. And Helaman so there were 2 interceptions that I wouldn't put on him. Receiver drop. One was a receiver drop that that deflected into the hands of a defender. The other one, he got like sacked as he was throwing, and the ball went straight up in the air like a balloon. And Lone Peak came down with it. But you could tell he was trying to make something out of nothing. Now, no big deal. Like you're due a bad one. He played bad, and he would probably tell you it was the worst game of his high school career. Where he scored a ton of points with me is how he handled himself afterward. He walked right over to me, shook my hand, thanked me for coming, wanted to make sure that we linked up this week. He'll be in College Station for the game. Did not do any finger pointing and just said, I can't wait to get back to practice with my guys. We got to get better. And a lot of high school kids, 17, 18 years old, I've covered quarterbacks for 10 years. And I told him this. I said, look, man, I've done this for 10 years watching high school quarterbacks. A lot of them would not have kept their composure and been as respectful as you were after the game. Really impressive. So, okay, you're going to have bad nights. So what? What next? Kind of thing. And I loved his attitude.
Yeah.
And there were he made 2 throws over the course of the night that I was like, okay, those are big time throws. One was down the middle where he maneuvered in the pocket, sidestep, then steps up and throws a big post ball, perfectly thrown right over the shoulder of the receiver for a big gain. And then they're trying to drive down the field with like 30 seconds left in the first half. He gets inside pressure. The guy gets his hands on him. He spins away. He's rolling to his left, so opposite side of his arm, and does that kind of Pat Mahomes off-platform, throw it back to the middle of the field.
Oh, yeah.
Hits his receiver perfectly in stride and gets some run after catch. So there was some elements to the game where you're like, okay, like real dude, like real talent. Just had a bad night. And he was disappointed, but what kid wouldn't be? Yeah. But he, again, scored a ton of points with me with how he handled himself afterward.
Before we hit a break, how would you describe Utah high school football, like the atmosphere? I mean, was it better, same, rough?
This was a matchup between probably the 2 best teams in the state.
Yeah.
So there were, I say, a lot of people there. They don't have much stands. The stands were full. I thought the student sections reminded me a lot of Texas high school football student sections. They were all there, kind of heckling each other back and forth, had chants and stuff. It was good. But there's just not a lot of stands there. So people were, it was standing room only, and there were people all outside, right outside the gate watching. There were some people that had made perches out of their trucks, like in the tailgates, had made perches, like kind of looked like maybe small deer blinds, and they were sitting in there and watching them. I would say there was probably 4,000 or 5,000 people. It was pretty good crowd.
Yeah.
And but just like the backdrop, man, I posted a video of it on Twitter. I love Texas high school football. It is still king, but we don't have that.
Yeah.
Unless you go way out to El Paso, and even then, they don't have what I was looking at.
Yeah.
And again, like I'm sitting there filming. I film every play to capture, put highlights out and stuff like that. But it's hard for me when I'm filming not to look at the backdrop. It was something I've never seen.
All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back with more. We'll talk about the homestand. We'll talk about what the recruits want to experience, and also some potential offers, or maybe not. Right now, we're talking Caldwell Country Chevrolet. And they're the best. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. If you're looking for a great selection and you don't want to spend all the money you have, you should probably look out at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. They have a wonderful selection of vehicles and great pricing, right? So when you go there, you can go to the website to start your search, but when you go on the lot, you're going to be blown away by the entire experience, the customer service, the selection, and also the trade-in value you'll get for your vehicle. They're locally owned, and they have an Aggie alumni team that's ready to roll out the red carpet for you. And every vehicle that you purchase from Caldwell Country Chevrolet comes with a free oil change for life. That's thousands of dollars in savings for your vehicle over the life of that car. And they have a very good pre-owned inventory that moves fast. They'll give you top dollar again for your trade-in. It's a short drive. We're talking 15 minutes, the edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. Short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. We're back. It's TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio, and it is Recruiting Country, still brought to you by American Momentum Bank. You have something on your mind?
No.
You opened your mouth like you were going to say something.
I know.
What were you going to say?
I should just keep my mouth shut.
Was it about me?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
See, you know what? This is what you do, though. We weren't going to talk about David, but now we are. You're good at this. All right, we'll talk about you. Go ahead.
Okay, what are you talking about?
We weren't going to, but we will now. Go ahead.
I'm the host, so
I know.
With the most.
Did you hear that? Was it about me?
Well, because you do have a bit where you like to.
Oh,
you do.
You did this we've gone over this like the last 2 weeks we've been in here. You start this. You're paranoid about me saying something, and so well, I don't know if he's going to talk about me, so let's just go out there and get it out there, and then we will talk about you after you do that. You're good at it. You are good.
How often do I talk poorly of you?
I don't know.
In public.
I don't know.
Never. Never.
Okay, but what is this about? Come on, let's get it out. Therapy session right here.
Let's go, shall we?
We'll get Sid to go upstairs and get you we get you the couch and put it in here.
I'm not doing a casting couch with you. Here's my thing, Bronny. I know, I hear Kate laughing in the background. I know how you operate because I see you with others, okay? And you get this
This is so much projecting.
You get this little you do the Olin thing.
No,
Your face
I don't.
does this,
I
and
do
it
not
pops
do the
up,
Olin
and
thing.
you're like, here it comes, and you're you can't wait to drop your line.
No,
So,
but here's the difference between Olin and I. First of all, there's a lot of differences between Olin and I, but the main difference is I can think of something toxic and then not say it.
That's a good point. I'll give you that.
If it pops into that brain of his, it has to come out. It's like holding in a sneeze for him. You just.
That's a good point. Yeah. So shall we take advantage of this homestand
Well, that's up to Coach Elko and company, but I think they should. They have to from a recruiting perspective.
That was more my point, yeah.
When you look at the calendar for the remainder of the season, they're going to go over a month without playing at home. So this is your best run of games to really get all of your top targets in, because you are going to go for a long time without being able to use the Kyle Field element to your recruiting piece, right? That's a massive, I would say a massive high point for your recruiting pitch. They use it every year, and that's something that they try to be very diligent with. Make sure these kids understand, hey, you come in the summer, that's great. We want you here as much as you want to come. You want to come here during the spring, see practice, awesome. We encourage that. But you have to make sure you come for a game in the fall, and come see this place with everybody in it, because it really opens up all the talking points that you've heard from us. They come to life in front of you. So you got to get here and see it. And so they have to take advantage of this. Whenever the calendar looks like it does and the schedule looks like it does, you got no other choice but to really do all you can to get as many players as you can to College Station over the next 3 weeks.
And I know you've talked about this before, but for players, the win and the loss doesn't matter as much as the experience. I think the loss is where negative recruiting it's not during their experience, is maybe when they go visit other places.
I'll tell you what, I've seen a lot of this on social media, and maybe it's just because of some of the people that I follow. But Nebraska had a pretty bad loss last week.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the final score, I thought, the final score looked a lot better than the actual game did. The final score flattered Nebraska. 30-27, you're thinking it's a close game. If you watch it, you're like, Michigan went up and down the field and dominated them at the line of scrimmage. But I've seen a ton of people come out and talk about how good of a job Nebraska's doing in recruiting after they just lost that game. And they had a bunch of their top prospects in because they delivered an experience for those kids. And as results-oriented as this arena is, and the job is of being a head coach is results-oriented, it is not that to recruits. It's experience-oriented. And so you have to understand that. You got to deliver an experience regardless of the results on the field. It's the old marketing saying, you got to sell the sizzle, not the steak. And the fans care about the steak, and obviously the players and the coaches on the team care about the steak, but the recruits are still looking for some sizzle. So you got to be able to sell it.
What's on tap for the recruiting staff here over the next couple of days?
I would imagine a ton of organizational work, making sure that you've got all the people in your organization aligned to make sure that they are taken care of and putting, they're going to have to formulate a plan to make sure all of these kids that are coming in, that nobody feels left out. And you're going to have to, there's a lot of there's a lot of planning that goes into that Sunday for the kids that stay the night, and then they meet with the coaching staff. And so you don't want to be keeping people way later than their meeting times. That has been an issue with a couple of schools in the region in the last year, is some of these kids get ready to meet with head coaches and they're 2 or 3 hours behind where they should be. That's not a great look, and you're going to make some people really irritable if they've got to sit around and wait with nothing to do before they talk to the head coach. So all of that is superbly important going into a weekend. It's just, to me, it's time management and people management as much as it is trying to deliver an experience. And that, the time management and the people management are part of the experience that they're going to have.
But what about your recruiting team? You guys, what do you guys got going on?
Jason has 2 games in Dallas, the second one being Waxahachie versus DeSoto. Waxahachie beat Duncanville last week, made headlines across the state of Texas.
Is that the one with the fight?
There was a post-game fight in the handshake line.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of he said, she said, and then it wasn't a fight. I mean, there were punches thrown, but it wasn't like a big all-out brawl.
Which is the one where they ripped the guy's helmet off? Is that or am I thinking of a different game?
A guy without a helmet, so I think he was probably injured for the game.
Okay.
He was in a jersey. He got hit in the post-game handshake line. Gotcha. It wasn't a good scene at all. I'm not trying to condone it, but it wasn't like some massive all-out brawl between both teams. So Jason will be at Lakeview Centennial versus Saxe on Thursday. Lakeview Centennial's got a couple of kids coming to the game on Saturday, then Waxahachie DeSoto. On Friday, K-Drawn, huge game in Northeast Houston. Atascocita versus CE King. CE King's a program that is loaded with underclass talent. Loaded. They got a kid in the 2028 class named Dylan Mitchell. His dad was a receiver here at A&M, Billy Mitchell. Dylan is probably the fastest high school football player in the state of Texas right now.
Huh?
He's only a sophomore, has run sub-10 100 meters. He's got an offer from A&M. It is electrifyingly fast. And then for me, I'm kind of staying local, going up to Franklin, Robertson County on Friday. Houston Legacy plays Franklin. Houston Legacy, obviously home of Mike Brown. And Houston Legacy does not have a playoff structure anymore. They were in one of these private school leagues. I forget which one. They were blasting everybody. So they just play a regular old, I think, 11 or 12 game schedule, and then they're done. So I saw Mike obviously already once this year against Port Arthur Memorial. They don't have playoffs, so I was like, you know what, I'll see him again, just knock this thing out. And he's had a great year, too. Had another 100-yard game last week.
Okay. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate you. If your organization or business is looking for an opportunity to engage with Aggies, check out the Association of Former Students. They bring Aggies of all ages together during their marquee events, and these events happen all year long. We're talking about the fun ones like Aggie Ring Day, All Aggie Hullabaloo, The Gathering. They welcome tens of thousands of guests, and there are many sponsorship and vendor opportunities to get your brand in front of those attendees. They offer a wide variety of both digital and in-person options to promote your brand, and this includes title sponsorship, naming, on-site presence and activation and recognition in social media posts, and much, much more. There's also advertising opportunities in both the Texas Aggie Magazine and the Aggie News newsletter, which are seen by over 230,000 people. So if your business is ready to engage with Aggies, choose a partner that has been with the Aggie Network for over 140 years. For more information on options available through the association, please email sponsorships@aggienetwork.com. It is the Association of Former Students.
And we're back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Bumpy's Catering and Bartending Hotline as we listen to little Robert Earl Keen with our buddy Peter Burns. You know, we just had him on the show earlier today, Peter.
I know. I was just like, this is a one and only time ever that I will be following Robert Earl Keen. Normally, I'm like the opening act for the legend. And sure enough, how was he? Was he good? Was he like
awesome? You know, like when you interview somebody, Peter, and you've done millions of interviews, and they say your name to you, even if they wrote it down on a piece of paper, it just means more. Well, David, I'll tell you this. Well, Olin, I'll tell you. Like, it was like, he's my dear friend, R.E.K.
David, that just means so much to me, honestly. I mean, it does. It's one of those small things. And, coaches get that a lot, too. And it's always the coaches that will look you in the eye, too, when you do those interviews, that you appreciate them because they get a million different interview requests. And for those guys to have that moment and know that it's big, I love it, man. And rightfully so. He should be fired up. This is a big damn game in Kyle Field this weekend.
Heck yeah, man. So the theme this week, I feel like, is we're trying to figure out who Auburn really is. I think they're really good, man. And I think A&M should win this game. But what do you think about Auburn?
I came away of that Auburn-Oklahoma game feeling the same way I felt about Tennessee when they lost to Georgia, in the fact that I misevaluated what I think they could be potentially, right? Like, I look at Tennessee and thinking that's a damn good ball club. Like, they went toe-to-toe with Georgia, should have probably won that game. Obviously, they didn't. But I came away going, all right, Joey Aguilar's good. Defense, Neal needs a little work, but they were banged up. For Auburn, I look at it and go, that defense was great. I mean, they did everything they could to keep them in the game even when the offense wasn't rolling. Now, I still think Jackson Arnold played a little bit like Jackson Arnold last year. I mean, his offensive line didn't help him, but he missed 2 or 3 big throws. And I'm like, if that's going to happen on the road against Norman, what's that going to be like in front of 100,000 plus when Kyle Field is rocking on a big third down?
So what do you think A&M needs to do against this Auburn team? And, I would have never thought another shootout's coming, but is this game, does it have the feeling of maybe another shootout?
No, I think this is almost more of a get-right game for A&M's defense, right? I know that, as much as Elko was smiling, and rightfully so, with getting a huge, monstrous victory up in South Bend, it was almost like the perfect film, because I guarantee you they went into the football facility and they were pissed off going, how in the hell did we allow this to happen? Like, that Notre Dame team is not great offensively, and they showed some stuff that A&M struggled a little bit. But then again, you also found out about Marcel Reed and what he could do. So, that was almost a perfect win last, 2 weeks ago for A&M to get the dub, get that road win, but more importantly, have a lot of film to work on. I just think this is a situation where everything was built for Auburn in that game against Oklahoma, the Jackson Arnold deal. There was so much of that being made of it. And now it could be slippery, because if I'm not mistaken, after this, I think they've got Georgia, and then they've got maybe Texas or something like that. I mean, this will be a dangerous spot for A&M, because Auburn's desperate. Because if you lose this game, you could lose 4 in a row. I still think the Aggies have too much, especially at home.
Talking to Peter Burns here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. All right, this LSU-Ole Miss matchup, there's a lot of chatter on social media about it. What's your whole take on the pick, the relationship, who is actually who? I don't know who's at fault here. Like, not even at fault, Peter. How do I want to phrase this? Like, I don't know what Landry Kiffin's doing. Is she going after her dad, or is she going after Whit Weeks?
So for those who just drive by, they don't know it. So Landry Kiffin, Lane Kiffin's daughter, allegedly is dating Whit Weeks, the star linebacker for LSU. Well, she posted a picture of them, like her sitting in his lap, said, "I'm happy," and then he reposted and stuff like that. It's weird. Like I said, it's weird. I mean, we had been kind of told that she was, spending some time in Baton Rouge. I don't think it was like breaking news to a lot of people, but the fact that you make it public and the hard launch or whatever, as the kids are saying it now, that's the oldest thing I've ever said in my life. I think it's just noise. I think what it comes down to is this is a damn good team, and there's no way that Ole Miss is not going to start Trinidad Chambliss with the way that he's played over the last couple of weeks. But then again, I don't think Trinidad has had an opportunity to face a defense like Blake Baker has. listen, I think Blake Baker's defense at LSU, and I told you this last week, is top 5 in the country. Now, offensively, there had been some concerns, but I think they alleviated a little bit of those concerns last week now that Garrett Nussmeier is feeling a little bit healthy. So, again, strange things can happen. I still go back to people being punch drunk on Trinidad Chambliss. I think LSU is a college football playoff team. I don't think Ole Miss is. I still have LSU by a touchdown on this one.
Is this, in your opinion, LSU's first real test? Because now that we've seen what's happened with Clemson, or no? I mean, Clemson was a real test, and what LSU did to them is why they've been so derailed.
It's a fair question, but I think also, and I'm not going to say, joking around, I posted this week, LSU, ended Clemson. I don't think that's the case. I think that was a great road test against a talented team that now teams have seen film on Clemson over the first 2 weeks and realized there are some deficiencies. We didn't know those deficiencies. I still think they're good. They're just in a funk, and everybody's kind of catching them at the right time. So I still am a believer in, and there's just so much talent at LSU. And if this was a first-year quarterback at Nussmeier, I'd worry about it. But the fact that he's been there, and just the way Brian Kelly's talked about this, I mean, it's going to take something Herculean from Lane Kiffin. I just don't see that happening, even the fact that they're in Oxford.
Talking to Peter Burns here on TexAgs Live. Hey, Mississippi State, they're a team that, like, they're obviously significantly better than they were a year ago. I mean, beyond that. But do they have enough to make this interesting against Tennessee?
Be the biggest shock of the season right now is the fact of how do you look at this offense, which is so good for Josh Heupel, and you were atrocious last year. Can you make that big of a jump? I mean, again, this would be as big, Mississippi State beating Alabama, or beating Tennessee rather, would be as big of a seismic change as Mississippi State, or as big as a seismic change as Vanderbilt beating Alabama last year. Like, no one sees it coming, and it would make us rethink of what a coach can do within 18 months to rebuild a program. I still think Tennessee is legit. I don't think that Mississippi State has enough of that firepower to keep up with them, because I think Tennessee, once they get healthy, especially secondary-wise, are going to be a damn strong team.
Yeah, I agree with you. Let's talk this Notre Dame-Arkansas game, because Notre Dame's defense has been a big topic. Arkansas, obviously, they got to stop the bleeding, but that offense is dynamic. How do you see this one playing out?
Just so pissed off they lost last week. And when you lose to Memphis the way you did, because that place was going to be rocking, and now you're talking about an 11 a.m. kickoff where the fan base is apathetic, and I think that's a clear advantage for Notre Dame. I hate to say it, but I thought that had they beat Memphis, then we're talking about they would be ripe for an upset. But I do wonder how much kind of quote unquote, I don't want to say quit, but their defense looks like Mississippi State's defense last year, just getting pushed around. And I think Notre Dame does have enough to push them around. And unfortunately, I think they win that game over in Fayetteville this weekend.
PB, any thoughts on the John Mateer injury and what that does to the Oklahoma season?
I mean, in a weird way, it gives them a buffer, because if he doesn't play and they lose in a close game in the Red River rivalry, the committee might look at it now down the road and go, yeah, but they didn't have John Mateer, so what happened? So I'm fascinated about that matchup, because I'm not sold on Texas offensively whatsoever. I will say this, though. What I am sold on, I think the upset of the weekend is actually going to come down in Athens. I think Alabama is legit. I think the best thing to happen to them is them getting punched in the mouth in their manhood challenge. And I thought there was a lot of holes that Georgia left in that Tennessee game that I think Kalen DeBoer and Ty Simpson and the crew are going to be able to take advantage of down on a Saturday night in Athens.
What does that do for Kirby's, I don't want to say legacy, the guy's a national championship head coach, but the fact that he has struggled so much against Bama, if it continues on what feels like an Alabama team that lost their way week one, and everybody doubted their season, and here they are just climbing back in.
Yeah, I mean, again, we'll look at the numbers. He's 1-6 all time against Alabama. Now, rightfully, a lot of that was against Nick Saban, but last year, I mean, think about it. They got the absolute doors blown off of them in that first half. Now, they made it a game in the second half, but this is there's very few games that probably make Kirby nervous anymore top to bottom. But yet this is one, because if you lose this game against what a lot of people think is an inferior Bama roster, which I don't think to be the case. I think they're at equal, if not on paper. I think Alabama's actually even better. But you lose it at home on a Saturday night where you don't lose, you hardly ever lose, then it becomes a psyche thing. And we know how that works in Michigan and in Ohio State and other rivalries. This is the first time that Georgia and Kirby's felt pressure in a while.
That is Peter Burns from the SEC Network. Peter, appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, David. Y'all have a good one. See you, bud.
See you, bud. Thank you, Peter. All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back with a fake segment on the other side. It'll be fake because it'll be like 2 minutes. All right, if you're looking for real... Hey. Hey again. No? Riley playing the ones and twos there at Bryan Broadcasting. Good job. When it comes to your peace of mind, start a relationship with the right team. Aggie-owned Paragon Financial Advisors is an independent fiduciary firm serving clients across Texas. No commissions, no sales pitches, just trusted advice tailored to you. They've got 18 professionals, including 9 CFPs, a CFA, and a CPA, and their expertise runs deep. And at Paragon, credentials matter, and so does your future. Visit paragon-adv.com or call them up 979-693-3907 to schedule your free consultation today. It is Paragon Financial Advisors. Integrity, expertise, and trust. Paragon Financial Advisors. All right, Club Sid at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. It's
It's been a while since you've spoken. Let's get some commentary. Let's get some notes.
It has. Yeah, we have a text actually from Trey and Shiner talking about the Auburn game. He says, this game is huge on so many levels. Very few coaches can ascend to the highest levels. James Franklin and Stark only seem to get a team to a certain level, but can't get it done. Elko at this point is still an unknown. I think he's the right guy, and a win this weekend will start to solidify the chance that he is a rare dude.
I hope so. Now, look, I don't think we can jump to conclusions if A&M beats Auburn. If A&M beats Auburn, they've continued their journey to this greatness, right? And if they lose, does it tell you everything? No, it exposes some things that we don't want to see. But this is the next step and a very long step with just take care of business, right? Like I look at things from a long term, like, oh gosh, how are you going to win that game? Are you going to win this game? Right? But in reality, this is a game that A&M, in my opinion, should win. And when I say should, because I think Kyle Field should matter for something. I think the offense is pretty darn good, right? And that's an understatement, the way those guys are going. And in fact, I'm going to read a text for somebody who also thinks that the A&M offense is pretty good. Steve sends in, will 2 Aggie receivers both go for over 200 yards, and will Moss rush for over 100? Well, Steve, I think the answer is no. Now, I'm not saying I won't take it and smile, but the likelihood of having 2 receivers over 200 yards and a running back for over 100 yards, I mean, I don't know, is that going to be like a 60 to 50 game? Like, I feel like that would have to, like, you just got to keep throwing and keep running and keep throwing. So I don't think so. I'll take 1 200-yard receiver and 1 89-yard receiver and 150 yards rushing from a running back. I would take that gladly. Maybe it's Ruben Owens, right? Maybe it's Terry Bussey who gets 120 yards.
Maybe.
Any other text to close out the show with?
Just one more comment from Don't Run in the YouTube chat. Not to jinx us.
Don't run?
From
What, are you
Don't
going to
Run.
hide? You're going to walk? What are you going to do?
Not to jinx us, but I feel this will be another Missouri from last year type game. Ags 46, Auburn 17. We will see.
46 to what?
17.
I would love that. That would make me very happy. That would make the luchador very fun. Figurine, TexAgs is awesomeness. Totally changed my morning since discovering this on YouTube channel a couple years ago. Figurine, you're awesome. We've even actually spoken before, so thank you very much. All right, we're going to say goodbye. Louis Bellina's next. He's a friend. And tomorrow on the show, Travion Williams and Trey Mason. How about that? An Auburn and an Aggie all on the show at the same time. That and more is TexAgs Live. We'll see you mañana.